Excelente, etc.
Thrill me.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Horror Flicks and Guitar Picks podcast. I'm your host, Tim, and today I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Steven. What's up, man? How's it going?
What's up, buddy? Happy holidays. It's cold, and I hate it.
Right. No, it definitely fucking sucks. It was like 17 degrees this morning. I was like, when I got to start my car before I can leave, I hate it. And of course, we're joined by somebody that's dealing with probably worse weather because he's from up in the northern area. Our monthly co-host here on the show, John Wren. How's it going, man?
What's going on? Yeah, it also fucking sucks up here in PA, which is crazy because tomorrow it's going to be like 50 degrees, and then it's going to be like 30 again on Thursday or some shit like that. So
no bueno.
Some wacky-ass weather this week.
That's what it did for us. It was like 60 or something Friday, and then it dropped down to like 9 Sunday night. And Monday morning when you woke up, it was like freezing. But there was a couple nights last week where it was, like, that's the thing is there's a couple days last week too where it was like 27 earlier in the week and shit like that throughout the whole day. And we even got snow for like a day, which it's been a while since we got it in December. Usually our snow waits until January, February. It feels like down here in Carolina. So
Yeah, and I think I saw something for this year. It's like the Farmer's Almanac said that like we're gonna have a similar winter to last year. So we'll sounds like we'll see some snow. So
yeah. It'll be 70 degrees on Christmas. That's how it always works out.
yeah, totally. Which honestly I wouldn't be all that mad about. I lived in Vermont for almost 4 years and had enough cold there. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Nah, I work in a freezer, so I feel that. I'm super cold already. I'm like, now I got nowhere to escape to because everywhere's cold. I'm like, God damn it, before I could at least come out and get warm and stuff. But of course, our topic today is our top 10 favorite horror films of 2025, because of course our lists are our opinions. We're not trying to make like the quintessential list of 2025 or anything. But before we do that, and dive into like our picks for that list, we are going to talk about our top 5 non-horror films of the year, as well as maybe some honorable mentions, and then dive into our top 10 records of the year or whatever, if you got a top 5, just some of our favorite records from the year and stuff. I personally got a top 10 that I kind of threw together. It's not, I wouldn't say it's locked in stone, but it's pretty much there. At least my top 3 or 4 are probably locked in, but hell yeah. We can let Wren kick things off if you want with our top 5 non-horror, since you're our guest, Wren. And if you want to, of course, with these, since the main thing is the main topic of the episode is the horror movies, we're going to kind of just run through the non-horror movie list quickly, just chat about them briefly, and the same thing with the records of the year and stuff. And
all right. Well, unfortunately, when it came to, when I was putting these lists together, I kind of slacked on my like non-horror. Normally, like when I do my like, because I always try to watch 52 movies in the year for 52 weeks, and normally it's dominated by non-horror. But this year, horror actually like whooped its ass. So and I missed some big ones. Like I didn't see One Battle After Another, and I heard that is the best film of the year, and I haven't seen it. So like my list is a little weird, but my top 5 non-horror for the year. In number 5, I have Warfare, which I thought was a cool little like it's a very isolated story, but it's just brutal, and the way it's shot is like kind of incredible, and it captures you from like the first opening scene to the end, and it's probably only takes place over a couple of hours, but it's rough. But yeah, Warfare is number 5, and then Ari Aster's Eddington is number 4. It's probably his most straightforward film that he's made so far, but I loved it. John Waters says that if you don't like it, he hates you.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a good enough sell on that. Number 3 is Mickey 17, which I forgot fucking came out this year because I feel like I watched it like January 1st or some shit. Number 2 is Superman. I absolutely love that film. I adore it. I will watch it anytime it's on my TV. And number 1 is the Mike Flanagan take on Life of Chuck. I was severely impressed. The story, I wasn't like too into like the written work, but I absolutely love that movie. I thought how they presented that was fantastic. And I only saw it like recently flying home from Mexico. So it's like, maybe it's some recency bias, but I don't know. That movie was great. So that's my top 5 non-horror.
Nice.
Fuck you. Now, I literally watched The Life of Chuck last night, and it was one of those things that I kept forgetting about that film. And I was a big fan of the King cast, and it broke my heart when Scott Wampler passed away, and the show just it's still good, but it's just a little different and stuff. So I kind of stopped listening as much, but I was listening to it a lot when like going up to Life of Chuck because they were talking about it and prepping it up when it was like filming like early on because they're friends with them. They're in the movie twice. Uh, Scott and Eric Vespi. They're the voices when she's like listening to the radio about like the dooms when they're just talking about like the world ending and stuff, and then they're also like just in the back in the fountain, like in the big like town hall scene or whatever, or town center scene or whatever. So I was like so excited for that movie, but then when it dropped, it was one of those that I just couldn't get out to see it, and then it never really hit a streaming service. Even then, even yesterday, I had to pay to rent it. Like I wasn't able to just to stream it anywhere. So I feel like it
Mm.
kind of went under the radar throughout the year because it never hit a streaming service like for free. Of course, it was on VOD and stuff. Um, but I think once this one gets seen by more people, it'll blow up. I really hope he gets some nominations for Oscars for it, but I don't know if he will or not because I know a lot of that's already in the air. But no, I was really impressed with it. Of course, I'll get to where it lands on my list and talk slightly more about it when I talk about it. But I just wanted to mention I just saw it last night and I was really impressed myself. So, but what about you, Steven? What's your top five non-horror? And I know you said that you kind of had a rough time with getting everything together this
Dude,
past week.
it's like the same thing Ren said. I feel like horror kicked everybody's ass this season. Even if I would say that like 2024 was a better year for horror, I just think like the standouts for me were either like horror related or horror adjacent. And that was kind of most of the focus of like what I went to in the theaters. Um, Honestly, most of my picks were similar to Ren's. I love Superman. I wouldn't even, there's only one that I'm going to say was my favorite non-horror film, but like mainly because I didn't get to see a lot of like what's up for nominations. Like I never got to see Smashing Machine. I still, there's a bunch that I need to check off the list. This is kind of the time of year where I'm like, I do that too. I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, let me watch all the like, big dramas or whatever. But yeah, love Superman. Big dog guy. So the dog won me over, and I took my daughter, and I think we were both like squealing in that movie over Superdog, which was rad. Um, I had so much fun with the new Running Man movie too.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I'm throwing that one in there. I liked Mickey 17. And I was also going to say Warfare. I was a huge fan of Civil War. And then, seeing, because it was Alex Garland that did the writing for that too, right? For Warfare.
He also co-directed it. It was like he
Yeah.
was going to retire, but he helped he came like quickly out of retirement to like help that guy like make it.
Yeah.
So it's not really his movie. It's like
Sure.
he's
Helped.
like
Yeah.
yeah, he's like on the set helping.
Yeah. Which, I mean, yeah, dude, that movie was so intense. I'm, I'm not usually like the type of guy that wants to see like your blockbuster type war movies, but I love anything that is like feels like genuine. And that movie just has all of that, like similar to like The Hurt Locker or something like that, like that movie was that situation was just so fucked up. And so I was just like, yeah, that's made me want to call anybody that I know that's in the service and be like, damn, like that's heavy. But yeah, Warfare was great. But my hands down, my absolute number one favorite one is got to be Friendship.
Oh yeah.
Just big Tim Robinson fan. And I mean, I guess that has some like thriller tension to it. So, but I wouldn't lump it into like the horror list by any means. But yeah, that movie, it's probably honestly, this sounds like a terrible media collector, but that's the only movie I think I've purchased of 2025 this year. So, if that means anything, I just fucking love that guy.
Oh yeah. No, I
Uh,
did the 3 for deal that they had at A24 shop and picked that
mm,
up, Bring Her Back and Eddington for Black Friday or whatever. It was like 3 Blu-rays and you got like $1 off each, so it wasn't even that much of a deal. But I was like, it's an excuse to buy them, so why not?
yeah,
Yeah.
They're a deal. But uh,
nice.
oh yeah. But no,
What about yourself?
I had the same issue you guys had, where there's a few that would probably be at least contenders for my top five that I really didn't get to see. Mickey 17, I didn't get to see. I
Mm.
really wanted to, and I didn't have HBO Max for the longest time, and I finally just got it back recently, and I haven't watched anything I got it back for yet. So
Mm.
I'm like, I think the only thing I watched, there was a movie up there that I think I watched Eddington up there because before I got the Blu-ray, but I haven't watched like Welcome to Derry yet, or
Mm.
Righteous Gemstones is one of the main reasons I got it back, and then of course I want to watch the Chair Company. I was about to say the Friendship Show,
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, the Chair Company, the Tim Robinson show. But no, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen One Battle After Another. I haven't seen
Mm.
Caught Stealing. I really want to see Die My Love, which I know might lean into horror. I don't know how far it goes and stuff like that. But and then I want to see Smashing Machine as well. But my top five, I will say Superman was my number five. But then when I saw Life with Chuck, it got booted.
Mm.
And I will say there's two in my top five that if somebody argued they were in their horror list, I wouldn't really argue against it, but they just didn't do quite enough to push into horror. And my number five is one of the two that really I think fit in that, and that's The Long Walk. I
Mm.
really enjoyed The Long Walk. I finally got to watch it after like months of not being able to get out and see it, and it really pretty much lived up to its expectations. I really enjoyed it. It made a movie about walking, very heartfelt and like very thrilling. Which I expected it to be after like hearing nothing but praises and stuff, but. Then my number four is Friendship, which I really enjoyed as well. That is hilarious. I love Tim Robinson. I've been
Mm.
a fan since I think You Should Leave. I enjoyed him on SNL, but he did such few sketches that it wasn't like I was like I like looked up his name or anything. It was just
Yeah.
after becoming a fan, I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember him in like all these being like the funny part of these sketches and stuff. So no, I love that movie. It was super fun. The only reason it's not higher is because I do wish it went a little further with the thriller part of it and
Mm.
stuff. But overall, I enjoyed the film, and like I said, I bought it, so I'm gonna continue to watch it over and over again and stuff. But my number three was Life of Chuck. This film was like it freaking uh was such it it was such a good adaptation of something that didn't really like seem like it would be adapted well to begin with. And then not only that, but it just it really pulls at your heartstrings and really has like a solid message at it. And it's hard to talk about any of the movie without spoiling it because it's so like I don't know, it's really just a basic story. So it's really you just
Mm.
kind of tell the story, but then you're kind of telling the movie. So
Well,
but how
it's also told backwards. So like you
Yeah.
start with the ending, and so you can't even. It's almost impossible to talk about it. You can give a basic plot point. It's like, oh, it follows this guy who's dying, and through different segments of his life, and you're like, that's it. That's all you can say.
Sure.
No, yeah, I loved it. And the way he's got so many cool cameos like cast wise in there because he was getting people that were coming in for scale just to do a day on a Mike Flanagan film like Heather Langenkamp, Matthew Lillard, uh even Harvey Gillian from what's the show? What we do in the shadows and stuff like that. Second Companion, which might come up later in some of our lists. But and then my number two was Begonia, which is probably the other one people might say is a little bit horror, but I feel like it's I was gonna put it on my horror list, and then I decided, and this is like my number two and one could flip back and forth because I loved Begonia. I just watched it like a week ago, and I was blown away. I will say I do know that it's for anybody listening that doesn't know or might be like screaming at their TVs, computers, however they're listening. It is a remake of a movie called Save the Green Planet, which is
Mm.
like a foreign film and stuff. So it is like a remake. I haven't seen that film, so I can't compare it, but absolutely loved Begonia. And the only reason I didn't put it on my horror list is because I Googled what's the genre of the film Begonia, and it brought up four genres, and horror was not one of them. So I was like, okay,
Mm.
well, I'm not going to put it on my horror list. So it probably would have been my number one if it was my horror, maybe number two, depending on uh, just thinking about it, because I probably wouldn't have gave it the number one just because I would have felt like I was doing it out of recency bias. So,
Mm.
and
Yeah,
then my number,
Yorgos is the fucking man. So I can't wait to see that movie because I haven't seen it yet. But I
Mm.
already know it's good. So
yeah. No, that was another one I had to pay to rent. So as soon as it hit something, I definitely recommend checking it out. That's
Mm.
another one that I definitely want to get on Blu-ray, but I want to wait until they're actually about to release like a really cool steelbook. So I might like a 4K steelbook for it. So I might have to scoop that. But and
Mhm.
then number one is of course I'm an Ari Aster stan, so it's Eddington. I watched this film twice now. Lauren was so mad at me because she hated it, and she was like, "But I mean, I knew she wouldn't."
Again.
But I'll be honest, as a Hereditary stan, like I said, it's my top three horror films of all time. I got the book behind me and stuff. I got the hat on. I love that film so much. This might be my favorite Ari Aster film.
Hmm.
Maybe because it is so just like watchable and like fun and stuff. I guess it's because it's also, I think that's exactly it. It's like it's got the dark humor and like the fun of his films. I mean, I say the fun of his films like his films are fun, but if you like dark comedy, like can be fun in aspects, and I feel like it has all that without having like the very dreadfulness that you get with, like a Hereditary or a Midsummer and stuff. So
Mhm.
and even Beau's Afraid. Like as much as I love Beau's Afraid, there's some parts of that that really drag. And even
Mhm.
this having a long runtime, I feel like at no moment am I bored. So
Okay.
and I just love the way he interweaves so many like small details in the story that you really like got to flesh out on your own. But once you do, it's really cohesive and like there's not many holes to like poke at it and stuff. So no, I really loved Eddington. It makes me excited that I loved it so much because for a while I was scared to watch Ari Aster leave the genre of horror. And
Mhm.
which he also produced Begonia, so that's cool that he's kind of in my
Oh, I
top
didn't know that.
two in
That's cool.
two different ways. But uh, so it makes me stoked for the future of anything he does because now that he's done this and I loved it so much, it makes me not worried if he's like, oh, I'm not going back to horror for a minute. I'm gonna do a sci-fi or I'm gonna do a drama, which I mean, he called Hereditary a drama for a while and stuff like that, and Midsummer a breakup movie. But you get what I mean. Like if he goes outside of like these different genres and stuff, I won't be so like hesitant to go check it out. Which I wasn't hesitant anyways because
Mhm.
I even loved Beau was Afraid. I haven't been a there hasn't been a miss in my opinion. I know some people don't like Beau's Afraid. Some people don't even like Hereditary, but love Midsummer. So he's very divisive as a director overall.
Oh,
But
totally.
he's 4 for 4 for me. So I'm not talking about a biggie bag. So, but hell yeah, we could jump into our records and we'll just keep this rotation going until we get to our top fives, and then maybe we'll
Sure.
start mixing up the rotation. Top five horror movies, of course, and then we can start mixing up that rotation a little bit more. But Ren, if you want to go ahead and jump into whatever, I know you got 100 and you said 108 albums,
100,
but
108. I can tell you the worst one. I'll start with the worst. So 108 was the Arch Enemy record. That record fucking sucks. It is so boring. So that was 108 with a bullet. But no, I'll do the top 10. I'll crush through it real fast. This year was kind of weird. Normally I'm like dominated with heavy music, and this one was kind of all over the spectrum. And if you get below the top 10, it even gets even crazier. But
Mm.
number 10 is Gates to Hell, Death Comes for Us All. That's a awesome, like pure deathcore record, in my opinion. It's like equal parts death metal and hardcore. Number 2 is Ghostface's Supreme Clientele 2. Number 3 is Charlotte DeWitt, which she's a like Euro house DJ. I love
Mm.
EDM music, so the Boots and Cats. Her self-titled, which I've been looking forward to for a while, is awesome. Number 7 is Clips' Return with God Sort Them Out. That's the best hip hop record of the year. Supreme Clientele was awesome, and it was like I thought that was going to stay as the top hip hop record for me. And then Clips put out their record, and I was like, well, this one's better. Number 6 is probably the album I've listened to the most this year. Is Lambrini Girls' is Who Let the Dogs Out. It's like Riot Girl music. It's
Sick.
awesome. It's awesome. I've seen them live. I'll see them live every time I can. That album is infectious. I can't stop listening to it. Number 5 is Mother herself, Lady Gaga with Mayhem. I think it's self-explanatory. It's fucking Lady Gaga. She rules. Number 4, which I thought was going to be my favorite record of the year when it came out, but it's at number 4 is Behemoth's "The Shit of God." Number 3
Mm.
is Health, is Conflict DLC. That's sad music for horny people, as they describe, or cum metal, as they also describe themselves as. It's if you're a fan of Nine Inch Nails and the Health rules, you should check it out.
Nice.
Number 2 is the Deftones with Private Music. That's a perfect record. It's the best record they've done since Diamond Eyes, in my opinion. Can't stop listening to it. And then number 1 is Dead Guys Near Death Travel Services. You can't put out an album like the sequel to the greatest record from New Jersey 30 years after it came out and it be that good. It's illegal, and I support illegal things. So Dead Guy that's the record of the year for me. I just don't think an album hit as hard as it did, and it has no business being this good 30 years removed from their first record. So yeah, that's my top 10.
Fuck yeah. I love that Behemoth's record is shit of God. It's just
Yeah.
like what wordplay.
Yeah.
Fucking, I used to always post like Lil Wayne lyrics and just be like wise words of Wayne. And one of them
Yeah.
one time was it potato to the barrel, pop pop potato salad. I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Well, what about you, Steven? I know you said that records were kind of hard for you as well because a lot of stuff
Yeah.
you realized was like from a year before, which I had a couple of those as well that I was like, fuck, I wish this was this year, but
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. It's funny when I started thinking about like all the albums, I'm like, man, Spotify has really like made me a terrible music listener because I've just fallen into like the classic trap of Spotify's like, hey, you listen to this. Hey, you're almost 40. You just need to listen to the Pixies and Sonic Youth and Smashing Pumpkins every single day. Like that's what it pumps out for me. But I do have like the See, it's hard for me to even classify like a top five list of albums because like when I want to love an album, it's I've spent time listening to it front and back over and over and over again. So for me, I'm just listing probably like the top three that I've listened to the most that I have given it the time of day. I will say honorable mention, but I can't even classify it would be the new Dead Guys album because that's a newer band to me and listen to the album and was just like this rips. And so like I haven't given it enough time to like form like that really like honest opinion about it, but it's probably going to be up there. And it probably will take me an entire year to like really like classify that. But as far as like the three that I've had the most on rotation as a full album, um, uh AFI's new album. I think what is it called? Like Silver Bleeds the Black Sun or whatever. It's like the AFI album that like I've been wanting them to put out over like so many years. Like just do like post-punk, like, the sounds what you guys need to do at your age. Like I just want to hear that. I know we're never gonna get, Black Sails or, anything like older like that sounding. So like I'm all for this new era, of AFI. So that's one. And then Castle Rat's new album, The Bestiary. I'm a big Castle Rat fan. Um, the new album probably doesn't have as many like what I would consider like bangers, but as a whole, this album feels like more cohesive and considered compared to like their first album just kind of felt like every song was like a single almost, whereas like this feels like a full completed album. And it just like has that fantasy metal badassness that I like. And then my favorite album of the year is definitely Turnstile. So that's been on the most repeat for me. I wouldn't say it's my favorite of their work, but I just, that's probably what I've spent the most time listening to, as far as new music goes. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So
Oh yeah. No, that's I still gotta get on Castle Rat. You keep telling me about them, and I keep meaning to check them out. But they're actually on a tour that's coming up. I can't remember who it is, but it's like them and two other bands, and I was like, that's kind of a sick tour.
Oh,
But
yeah, they're on tour. Shit, what's it called? They're playing with this is a terrible I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, they're they're going on tour. It's like with a bunch of big bands. And I've missed them every time I've had a chance to go see them. Like something like they were playing when the film festival was happening. They were
yeah,
playing in Charlottesville, and like my buddy Phil was going. He's like, "Dude, you're not coming to this." And then like he was like, "It was amazing." Like they're very. Ren, I don't know if you listen to Castle Rat at all or if you've checked them out. Um, they're kind of thematic. Like it's like the main vocalist, she wears like a chainmail top and like has a sword, and they fight like the Rat Queen, and like it's like if D&D kids like had a metal band and there's blood, and it's not full on like Guar level theatrics, but there's some fun to it, and I'm all for it. So
I'm gonna put it on my thing for tomorrow. I'm gonna listen on the way to work.
yeah.
You've piqued my interest with you like
It-
fighting rats and shit like that. So
yeah, it's like if
yeah,
Deathstalker was
yeah,
like female and it just sounds like stony old Sabbath kind of,
into
so
it.
yeah, it's fun. The music videos make it even better. So yeah, but
oh yeah. Now I saw that Power Trip's coming to Philly. That's fucking pretty
oh
sick.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that fucking lineup. Normally, the Decibel Fest is like way more diverse. They usually have some like huge band and like. Don't get me wrong, I love Power Trip, but for them to be the headliner and for like a Cro-Mags, whatever the fuck version Cro-Mags is playing, like doing Age of Quality. I don't know. It's a weird. It's kind of like a. It's kind of like a step back from a couple of years, but I'll probably be there just because it's down the street from me.
Yeah. No, it was one of those things where it was like cool that they were headlining the fest, but I'm with you. It's one of the. It definitely seems like when I was looking at the flyer, I was like, it seems empty. Like it just seems like there's usually more bands in general too. Like I don't know, but no, it also would have been cooler when I was still drinking because it's a beer fest, but I don't drink anymore, so it's like, what's the fucking point other than just Power Trip? And because like that'd pretty much be the only reason I came up for it, and to pay to see them at a fest would be paying twice as much. So
Uh, to chime back in, I just was trying to remember what the Castle Rat tour is. It's with Death Clock and Amon Amarth.
that's
So,
right.
That makes all the sense in the world
Uh-huh.
based on your description. So
Yeah, I think they're coming to DC, man. Let me know if you want to make the trip. I've always wanted to see Death Clock. So Nelly Brosh plays for him now. So, but oh yeah, I can dive into my top 10 albums. I threw together 10. I had 20 at first, and then I whittled it down because I was like, I truly don't even like 5 of these albums. I'm just filling it. So then I was like, I was
I
like,
listened to this album. I don't know if I like it.
yeah, I was like, the new Acacia Strain's cool, but fuck it. And I was like, Pigpen's cool, but uh, like it's just cool because it's Matthew Madison and it's not bad. And I thought it, you know what I mean? Like, it's like
I wanted to like it more.
It's definitely better than I thought it was going to be.
that's what
Absolutely,
I mean.
100%.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like unlistenable, and I was like, oh, this is dope. But then I didn't listen to it again. So,
Mhm.
but my top 10 is mine's very mixed up though, like kind of similar to Ren's, and I even have some crossover with Ren's list. My number 10 was a band called Adversary and Flesh, album called Catacomb Glory Hole. Uh, they they fucking rule. Like their first song is called I Didn't Hit Her, I Killed Her, or something like that. And then they have a
Do
song
they
like
categorize in cum metal as well?
they might, dude, but uh, this is a band I picked up from the Bad Taste Video Dudes over on their podcast because they do like a wide world of metal. This one and another one on my list, and they kind of compared it to like early Corn, and I can like it's
Okay.
very death metalish, but I could like with early Corn influences, and I can kind of see that because they have some very like plucky bass at times and like very like drum and bass focused parts, you
Mhm.
know. And the snare is very like that tom snare, you know, the pretty much what Saint Anger was trying to do, but failed hard. But no, I really like this album. It's super fun. It's only like an EP. I think it's like 5 or 6 songs, maybe even
Mhm.
7, but definitely recommend checking it out. Number 9 is probably the most surprising one on my list, and that's Benson Boone, American Heart. I really enjoy Benson Boone, and this doesn't even have that song "Beautiful Things" that he's like really known for, but it has like that song "Mystical Magical." It has "Came for Somebody Else." Um, there's another song up here like Mr. Electric Blue. It's very like just like it's good pop, and it's like one of the very few dudes doing good pop in my opinion.
Mhm.
So I really enjoy like just regular like basic, you know, like American pop or whatever. But uh and then number 8 is Drain Is Your Friend. I really enjoyed this record after Drain's last album kind of was whatever to me. So this one kind of brought it back to their older stuff in my opinion.
Mhm.
So I really enjoyed it. Of course, they still had a song up here that was like very much in the Good Good Thing style.
Mhm.
But I even enjoy when they do that style, especially since they're not doing it through the whole record. They're just doing like a song a record, which is pretty cool. Number 7 for me is Peeling Flesh, PF Radio 2. I love ignorant music, and nothing gets more ignorant than Peeling Flesh, so I'll leave it at
Mhm.
that. Uh, then my next two are actually similar to Ren's, just moved up a spot. My number 6 was Clips, Let God Sort 'Em Out. Um, I really want to go so bad to see them because they're coming to Virginia Beach several times, you know, because they're from Virginia Beach.
Mhm.
And they're doing even like a Home for the Holidays show where it's like back-to-back nights on the 27th and 28th of December. And I'm
Mhm.
like so tempted to try to go to that, but uh, you know, being broke for the holiday, I'm like, I shouldn't really do something like that. But no, I loved this record. It's probably the only like one of only maybe 2 or 3 hip hop records I listened to this year. Like I listened to Chance the Rappers, kind of was let down by that. There were some other ones I checked out, but the new Underachievers was pretty good, but didn't crack my top 10. Then my number Oh, I thought, never mind. I thought these two were swapped. But my number 5 is Lola Young. I'm Only Fucking Myself. Another great pop record that I liked. She's backed by Elton John. So you know she's got to be good. That song Dealer is my shit. Number 4, Lambrini Girls Who Let the Dogs Out. I was introduced to these girls by Wren, and I immediately fell in love. They're awesome. Definitely want to try to see them sometime this year or in the near future for sure.
I gotta check that out. That sounds rad.
Yeah, they're awesome. Definitely, maybe not safe for Penelope, but like Contology 101 is like
Mm.
one of their
That's
good
the
songs.
hit.
Yeah,
That's the closing song, and everything is cunty. So
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
literally she says cunty like maybe 200 times in the song. But nah, number 3 is the other band that Bad Taste Video recommended, and that's Grotesquerie, Uninhabited Plain. This is probably one of the heaviest records I heard all year, and definitely like one of the most listened to records for me all year. But it's only like 4 or 5 songs. Um, it's a brief listen, but I could listen to it and just start it over again. It's that good in my opinion. Number two for me is Dead Guy Near Death Travel Services. I listened to Dead Guy a little bit back in the day just because I used to listen to a lot of bands that I would see like on other bands. Like I would listen to bands that I would see bands I like wear the shirts of. So I checked out Dead Guy because I was a big Silverstein fan growing up, and they were wearing Dead Guy shirts, or at least Shane was at like their big like 10-year reunion show or whatever. And so I checked them out, and I really liked them back then, but I didn't really like get into them because I knew that they were like a dead band, no pun intended. But so when this new record dropped, I was like excited to check it out and stuff like that, and everybody was buzzing about it immediately. So I checked it out and immediately fell in love with it, and it shot to my number one. But then I have to give my number one to an album that's definitely not a better record, but it's just more my style because I just like that kind of stuff, and that's End It, Wrong Side of Heaven.
Mm.
It's just super fun to me. It's ignorant, but it's more hardcore than like it's ignorant hardcore instead of ignorant death metal. So no, I really enjoy it and have a lot of fun with it. So, but both of those albums are great, and I definitely want to try to catch Dead Guy while they're still doing some runs. And they even released a song for a pet, another new song, right, for like a pet.
So they did so their old someone found the masters of a song that was on Makeshift Atom Smasher, which was on the Fixation on a Coworker record, which is the record. Like that's the record everyone. Steve, you have to listen to Fixation because that record is the best. It's the best record that came out of New Jersey, followed by Slippery When Wet. But we won't go into that. But they found the masters of that, and they remastered that song. It sounds different. It's like longer. It's got like a weirder intro, but they put that on like, there was a comp that was strictly to raise money for a like no kill shelter. I think they only sold like 100 vinyl records for it. And then you could pay to download it if you want to. You could also just listen to it on Spotify, but if you want to purchase it, all of the money, all the proceeds go to some dog shelter. And some bands actually straight up put new songs on it. I think like most of that comp is brand new songs.
Yeah, I'll have to dig into that one for sure. Yeah, they're like I said, they were not on my radar in the past, and so when that album came out, and it was just one of those like I don't even think you had told me about it yet, Tim. It was just visually, I was like, oh, I like their logo, and I was just like, I'm gonna check this out, and I was like, damn, this is really good. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a beginning of an episode when we were talking about what we'd been listening to, and you brought up, you were like, I saw on your story Dead Guy, and you're like, I found them. They're like, they just popped up in my artist you may know, and I was like, this looks cool. I was like,
yep.
no, fuck yeah. So. But well, yeah, Jimmy used to work on the docks, and we watch a lot of horror movies. So we'll let Wren kick off his 10 through 6, because what we're gonna do is I don't know if I said this up top on the show. I know we talked about it before recording started, but we're gonna run through our 10 through 6 just like we did those choices, and then we're gonna take our time with our 5 through 1s, and we're gonna adopt the rule from I know a couple podcasts do it, but shout out to Colors of the Dark, because they do I guess it would be a later rule. And if so, somebody, once we get to our top 5, if somebody says a title and it's higher, it'd be a higher rule. If it's higher on your list, just shout higher, and we'll talk about it when it hits the higher mark. But for these 10 through 6s, you can kick things off, Ren, and just kind of go through them. And, if there's anything not on your list, we can, that's on your list that's not on ours, we'll comment on it afterwards, and so on and so forth.
All right. Well, my number 10 is probably a movie that might be in both of your, or at least one of your number top 5, but is Bring Her Back. I'll just briefly, I loved it. The brothers are still, the Philippo brothers are now directors that I'm going to pay attention to everything that they put out. They got my money before they even show me a trailer. Number 9 is Steven Soderbergh's Presence. I feel like this one, because it came out super early in the year and came out in that lull in January when no one watches movies, it flew under the radar, but I thought it was a really cool ghost story. Simple practical effects, like the lighting's natural. It's Steven Soderbergh. He does what he does. Number 8 is 28 Years Later. Everyone's talked about this movie pretty much because everyone's been waiting for it for so long.
Mm.
I had a lot of fun with it. I'm very much looking forward towards the Bone Temple in a couple weeks. That's all I'll say about that. And then number 7, which I hope the lead actor gets the Best Actor Oscar, and that's Good Boy.
Mm.
I had a lot of fun with Good Boy. I thought, especially seeing the making of bonus stuff that was in the credits, made me appreciate that movie even more. Like as soon as and that was right after I watched it.
Mm.
Um, it's very simple. It wouldn't work if it was a human because there's a lot of it is the fact that the dog can't talk. So you have to just watch the dog like process and assume what it's thinking.
Mm.
But I thought that was a really well done movie. Like I said, it's a simple idea that wouldn't work if it was all humans. Um, but number 6 for me is The Monkey. That movie was just balls to the wall fun. Um, and I'll watch anything Osgood Perkins puts out now too because he's kind of maybe not putting out some of the stuff that's going to be number 1 on my list, but he's putting out a lot of interesting stuff, and I
Mm.
support interesting horror. And The Monkey was definitely one of them.
Oh yeah. Now you got some stuff on your list that's higher on my list, some stuff that's not on my list at all, and then some
Mm.
that we actually have at the same exact spot. So, and one I haven't seen with Presence because that was one that snuck past me because I really wanted to see it in theaters for the sound design. Seemed like it was a big part of it. And
Yes, yeah, it was. It's one of those movies like it's quiet when it needs to be,
Mhm.
and there's like little sounds that happen. I don't want to spoil it because I want you to see it like fresh, but there's little scenes when like we'll say the ghost shows up or
yeah,
like doesn't show up because like you can't, it's a ghost. And like it does things and you like want that sound on it. So when you watch it, like make sure your like room is completely dark and it's quiet.
yeah.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I might watch it with headphones on so that way I can get the full effect. 'Cause sometimes my phone, with the TV, you can go into the TV app and hit like remote listening, and then like
Mm.
then I can have headphones just connected to my phone, and it'll so I can like actually have headphones for my TV if it's like late at night and like Ari's sleeping or Lauren's sleeping or anything.
Yeah, that'll probably even work even better because you'll be able to hear all shit that I couldn't even hear in the theater.
Mm.
Yeah. But because I didn't see it in theaters, it like snuck past me and then I just never got around to it. And when it came out, I will say people were kind of mid on it, but there wasn't that many people talking about it. So it's easy to be mid on something if you're not hearing much about it in
I
general.
think I wouldn't dare call it an art house film, but I think you have to appreciate film to like it. Like if you're going just to be scared and you want to see like the scariest movie ever, like it's not going to hit for you like that. But I
Mm.
think it was a really solid like ghost story.
Oh yeah.
And when you're done watching it, we can talk about it. But like I don't. It's definitely not like the scariest movie you're ever going to see or anything like that. But from the filmmaking aspect, it's. I thought it was very well done.
Cool.
Oh yeah. What about you, Steven? Do you got your 10 through 6?
Yeah. Kicking off number 10, I had Ash, which is the Flying Lotus film. Um, Definitely horror sci-fi. But I wasn't a huge fan of his other horror film. Was it Kuso?
Yeah.
Or Cuso, however you say
Cujo,
it.
Cuso, yeah, something.
Yeah.
It's written real weird. So.
Yeah, that one was like a little too crazy and out there. Whereas I felt like Ash, still ties with a lot of the like super like sensory psychological horror kind of elements. But it was more digestible for me. Aaron Paul, um, you know, spaceship, you don't know quite what's happening, and there's a lot of like paranoia and like like who do you trust, who can't you trust. But I love like the I don't know, it almost goes into like a acid trip kind of like element to it, which kind of scratch that itch that I love about like Mandy. It's not nearly as good as a film like that, but like, that was one that I was like, man, I fucking love this movie, and I really didn't hear a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was up there for me. Um, Number 9 for me was The Monkey. Another one I kind of went in blind as possible, other than hearing feedback that people were like, it's really funny. And I was just like, I don't care if it's funny. And then when I went and saw it, I was like, this movie's a hoot. Like, it is so much freaking fun. Like, just every moment where just disaster struck, I was just like, I love this so much. To me, The Monkey was like, which don't want to bum anybody out if this was like a better film for them, but to me the monkey was like what I wanted out of like a Final Destination film. And, even though it's like, obviously they're different, but like I like that so much more. And yeah, just super, super rad and fun. Number 8 for me was The Ugly Stepsister. Um, just a cool take on a body horror film, like in that like grim fairy tale, kind of style. Um, I did not expect it to get as like uncomfortable as parts as it went. But yeah, just was one I was like, this movie's super rad. And probably honestly would have been maybe a little bit higher for me, but like I like folk horror, but like the grim fairy tale thing is like not typically my favorite subject matter. So it's hard for me to like have that up there. So the fact that it even made my top 10 was, surprising from just the theme. Um, and then for number 7, I also had Good Boy. Um, I mean, I'm a dog guy, so I had been like dying to see this movie for so long. As soon as I heard the concept, was immediately one of those people that was like Googling, like, does the dog die? Because I couldn't stomach, that. And uh, but yeah, I mean, the dog is incredible. Like, I can't believe it exhibits like the amount of emotion that it does on camera. Um, if it wasn't a dog, like the paranormal story, like would just be fine. Like it's not like the most breaking like haunted house type film. But I like everybody that I've described it to when they're like, how does that movie work? It's like you said, it's so successful, Ren, with the fact that he can't speak and explain what's happening to his owner. And it's like the way I view it, I've told people it's like it's imagine if like it's the perspective of a child trying to explain why their haunted house is happening and like the parents aren't listening to them because they're like, you're a kid, like what do you know? Like it gave me like that kind of feeling to it. And then my number 6 is another body horror film, and that was Grafted, which that was another one that just was like super fun. It's like a coming of age kind of like honestly fits similar vibes to like The Ugly Stepsister, just in a different setting and everything. But it's gross and gory and body horror-ish. And yeah, it's got that like depressing like somebody's going down this path and you're like, nothing good can come of any of it. So but yeah, that's my 10 through 6. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, a couple I haven't seen. The Ugly Stepsister is very high on my watch list, and I wanted to knock it out before, uh, like doing the top 10. But when it came down to like the last like week or so, I really just started picking some non-horror stuff so I could watch it with the kid around and stuff because I was like it'd be easier that way. I know I could fit some shit in where if I watch not when I watch horror stuff for the first time, I don't want to watch it in front of R because I let him watch horror stuff, but not anything that's rated R for the
mm,
first time with me because I don't know how far it's gonna go or anything. Like he doesn't watch
mm,
Terrifier and shit, so.
yeah.
But so there's like a limit to what I let him watch. But so I started watching a lot of non-horror stuff. But I really wanted to get to Ugly Stepsister, and then Grafted. That I remember seeing the trailer back when that like wasn't that like a Shutter original or something like that?
Yeah, yeah, it was Shutter original, and I mean, it sounds like it was one of those films that like it probably started showing at like I think it started doing like the film festival rounds probably like late in 2024, but yeah, it came to Shutter like I think in January this past year. And yeah, another one that I was like, man, like I'm surprised more people aren't talking about this movie.
Yeah,
Um, but again, like I don't know, I feel like sometimes with like Shutter originals and then some of the body horror stuff, like it seems like it's a very specific audience, people are, love it or hate it kind of thing, but I don't know. But
yeah. Nah, some people don't understand that the point is to be grossed out, so then they get grossed out and they give it like a bad review. It's like
yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
noticed some of the Shutter things. This movie was gross, 1 star, and then you watch it, and it's like it's supposed to be gross. What are you talking about,
Yeah,
man? Like,
I'm supposed to
Yeah.
feel. I mean, body horror is probably one of the few horror genres that like is able to make me feel uncomfortable these days. Like I mean, I loved Bring Her Back, but I also like have just been like beat to death with like films that are just like centered around dread and sorrow. And I was just like, I don't know. Like now I'm like, yeah, just make me feel gross. I don't want to feel sad. I just want to feel gross. But
Yeah. No, my list is very much reminiscent of that, of not or whatever the word is. I don't think that's reminiscent, but whatever, very reminisce or whatever it is of that exact thing of like kind of being sick of the dread. Of course, I got some
mm,
dreadful stuff in here because I
sure,
do
yeah.
love that stuff, and that's honestly usually my favorite. But this year was super fun in my opinion, and a lot of my choices are super fun, and especially my 10 through 6 mostly.
Mm,
So I'll go ahead and dive in. My number 10 was VHS Halloween. And this is when I went back and forth with did I want to put an actual film that was like way like a better made film, or did I want to put the one that I just had a blast with and know
mm,
I'll watch again? And honestly, with next year's VHS coming out, I'll still watch this one again next year. They nailed the Halloween aspect of it, in my
mm.
opinion, and that's one thing that I really wanted them to do because like we watched VHS Beyond the year before when I was up visiting Wren, and I don't think any of us liked it, and
Yeah.
it was
Yeah, it
just
was meh.
and that was after all the other ones I really enjoyed the all the like 98, 94 or
Mm,
whatever, like all the year ones I had a blast with. So then as soon as they did Beyond, I was like, damn, these themed ones have potential, but they just didn't really nail it. And then so they did Halloween and I was like, this theme is the one to do, and
mm.
I really enjoyed it. So I think the only segment that really didn't blow me away was like the first one where the two girls are like pranking all the kids and stuff, but
Oh
uh
yeah.
I like that they kicked it off with like because that was another problem with Beyond is the best one was the Stork, which was the first one, and then
Mm,
everything after that couldn't keep up. So this one was the opposite. I feel like it ramped up each time, and they did a real good job of like laying into realistic stuff that was scary about Halloween, as well as just like quote unquote folklore that was like about Halloween
mm.
and stuff. So no, I really enjoy that film, and we'll definitely be watching it again. Hopefully, I can get a Blu-ray of it, but because Shudder's been throwing out some Blu-rays. My only gripe is, and I will say this is I bought Deadstream on Blu-ray, Steelbook, and that was a RLGJE release or whatever,
Mhm.
Shutter. And I bought it to watch on the projector for my birthday. We had a bunch of people come over and everything, and the fucking thing skipped. I haven't had a
Oh
Blu-ray
damn.
like I haven't had a Blu-ray skip like in years, and I was like, what the fuck? And it was like
Mm,
I was so butthurt because like it was at the worst parts, you know what I mean? So it was really ruined Deadstream for like a lot of people
mm.
and stuff. But and I love that movie. So
Yeah,
uh,
it's a fun one.
my number 9 is one I literally watched this week, and then it shot up into my list, and that's Keeper. This
Oh,
is
nice.
I, it's one that I didn't expect to like so much because I watched it kind of in the worst case scenario. I watched it in parts, and I watched it on my computer because I didn't know where it was going to go and didn't want to watch it with like
Hmm.
Ari around and stuff. So I watched it in two parts, and I just really enjoyed this film. I love all the supernatural aspects of it. I won't say too much because I don't want to. We're gonna kind of go like light spoilers with stuff. Try not to do major spoilers, I guess. But I just love the way that this ends, the way the story unfolds. I love a lot of the acting by Tatiana Mosley, or I can't remember her last name, but she's amazing. She was also the mom in The Monkey and stuff like that. She was in Parks
Hmm.
and Rec, a bunch of other stuff. But no, I'm a big fan of Osgood Perkins as well. And this probably won't be the last time he's on my list, obviously. But when I this film was coming out, I like really wanted to see it, and I was excited for it just because how much I like Long Legs and The Monkey and all this and stuff. But then the reviews started pouring out, and people were like
Hmm.
saying like really shitty things about it, and I was like, oh man, I'm not a big fan of The Black Coat's Daughter. So I was
Sure.
worried that it was going to kind of fall in line more with that, and maybe
Hmm.
that's why I wouldn't like it. And a lot of the people that got used to his new tone, maybe didn't like it because it wasn't as fast paced and like thrilling as the other two that he just did. Uh, so then when I finally watched it, I was just surprised by how much I liked it, and it makes me want to watch more that's written by the guy that wrote the film as well. So, uh,
Sure.
no, I'm excited for to watch this one again when I can actually watch it like as a full through movie. And I definitely see some people's complaints with it. You definitely got to like just like dive into the world of the movie, but overall, I really enjoyed it. My number 8 is the Toxic Avenger reboot.
Hmm.
I had
Oh
a
yeah.
fucking blast with that movie, dude. The Killer Nuts uh,
Mhm.
are like one of my new favorite fake bands. They're pretty much Cottonmouth Kings, just via Tromaville. So no, that film's a blast. It's one I'm gonna watch probably the most on my list, just because it's something I could throw on and have fun with in the background and stuff. And you got to see Toxie's dick; it was pretty wild. But
And surprisingly, a really wholesome story.
yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
had heart, but and I didn't. I was actually surprised by like the entire cast. You know what I mean? Like I knew it
Mm.
had a good cast and stuff like that. but the main girl that's from that one movie where she was a stripper, I can't remember. It's called like Zola or something. I think that's what's called Zola.
Oh, Zola. Yeah, I know.
It's Zola. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know she was in it. So when
Yeah.
she showed up in it, I was like, oh fuck yeah. Like I was excited to like I knew that she was
Mm,
in it and I knew that I didn't know she was in it, and then I knew Jacob Tremblay was in it, but I didn't know how much he was in it. So when them two had like a lot more to do in the film, and
mhm.
like I said, I didn't know she was in it at all, I was like pleasantly surprised and excited. Like I just really enjoyed the film. Like they carried it well, and then of course like all the fun moments, like nothing took you out of the heartfelt stuff, but the fun moments like weren't few and far between. You know what I mean? It's not like you had to
Totally.
wait for the next gag, to lean into the story and stuff like that. So really enjoyed that. Of course, my number seven as well is Good Boy, surprisingly. So,
So funny that we're all on that same one. That's awesome.
and I mean, I pretty much echo the same thing you guys said. It's amazing how good the dog did. Uh, it's amazing how well they put this story together. This is one of those films that I literally only watched because I knew that both of you would like probably have it on your list, and I wanted to be able to at least say I saw it.
Mm.
And because it was on Shudder, I was like, yeah, I'll just take the time to watch that. And I knew that that was one if I have like I was started to watch it one day and was worried I might have to turn it off if like Ari came home,
Mm.
and I ended up just watching it. I got it all done before he even got home or whatever from the sitters, so it didn't matter anyways. But I knew with the type of movie it was that it wasn't going to get too gory or anything, so I put it on, and I was pleasantly surprised. Not only did I completely love the film, but I regretted not going out to the theater to see it because that was another thing is I didn't want to go to the theater and be like, "How's a dog going to carry a movie?"
Yeah.
It not only carried it, but it was a tense film. It like really made you feel like
Mhm.
scared at moments. And I will say it's probably the best usage of a shadow figure I've ever seen in a film that
Mm.
doesn't feel like bad CGI. I mean, obviously it's
Sure.
like computer generated in the film and stuff. A little bit of a spoiler alert, but it's a little scare. Uh, but it just felt like a more realistic use of them than I've seen in other films. You know what I mean? So no, I just really enjoyed. I mean, realistic if you believe in that stuff, of course, but just compared to what you've seen, compared to what I've seen on like YouTube and like the way that people like talk about it and stuff, it just seemed more like authentic and stuff. So no, and I really enjoyed the way that the story unfolds and how you get information with like you hear conversations in the background and this and
Hmm.
that. So no, I really love it. This is one I want to get on Blu-ray and definitely watch again. So this is one I'm gonna try to watch with Ari, but he might not be. It might be harder for him to grasp the interestingness of it. You know what I mean? Because of
Sure.
the story and stuff. But and then my number six was Weapons, which I'm sure might be higher
Mm.
on y'all's list. I really enjoyed Weapons. The only reason it's not higher is because uh like I just enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Like it didn't blow me away. I
Mm.
really liked it. I really liked the last act more than the entire movie itself, which I did like the entire movie.
Mm.
I just it's one of those things that I can't explain why it's not higher on my list. But I just like I know it's a lot of people's like top threes. Some people I listened
Mhm.
to The Colors of the Dark, like I've mentioned earlier, and it was I think both of their number ones.
Mm.
And I would go as far as to say I love this film, but I think this was a really strong year, and it just had to come down to what films I'll probably watch. When it comes down to my top five, it's probably what films I'll watch more, and all of the ones above this, sitting at my number six are ones that I will definitely watch again first. But that doesn't mean I don't like Weapons. I loved Weapons.
Mm.
Uh, there's so much like good things about it. I love the character that they created with Gladys. I won't say more than that, even though that film's kind of been already out, and the character of
Yeah.
Gladys has already been out in the zeitgeist and stuff. But just Austin Abrams, like I'm so excited to see what that dude does in the future.
Yes.
Especially with him being the front of that Resident Evil film that's coming up. I just makes me more excited for that, knowing that he's in it as well as it being
Hmm.
Zach Krager. So, and it
They're
just
film
solidified Zach Krager, like Ren was
they're
saying.
they're filming that right now. It's in Prague. They're filming the Resident Evil movie.
Fuck
Oh,
yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
Like you were saying about like the Filippo brothers, that's pretty much like Zach Krager locked it in for me. I mean, I was blown away by Barbarian. That was I think my second favorite film the year it came out, or at least top three. And this
Hmm.
one shot right up there in number six. And like I said, I think the only reason it wasn't higher is just because of personal preference. Like other than that, like I
Yeah.
really enjoyed this film and stuff. So and that last act is just batshit. So but hell yeah, we can jump into our top fives. Ren, you want to kick off the top fives, and then when we go, we'll go five. Ren kick it off, and then when we get to four, Steven, three, I'll kick it off, and then like we'll move up a person each time from the five.
Yeah. Works for me.
Oh
Mm.
yeah,
All right, my number five is so I'm a little preface, like I'm a huge like book reader,
Mm.
and I love the Universal version of this, but I'm glad that we are getting a more um, true to story. And so you guys probably figured it out, but I'm talking about Frankenstein. Guillermo del Toro is the fucking man. He was the
Mhm.
guy that should have always made this movie.
Oh yeah,
The cast is incredible. The shots are breathtaking. The effects, the way that the monster looks. There's so much I could like. This film on any other year could be like my number one. Um, but what I really loved about it is that he took some liberties, but he follows Mary Shelley's story a lot closer than the Universal version does. And don't get me wrong, like the Universal is the that Frankenstein is probably what's number two to Dracula, but it's like one of my favorite Universal horror films. But yeah, Frankenstein blew me away. I didn't know what to expect with it, like going to Netflix and like kind of being in the theaters, and I'm like, man, is that gonna like ruin it? Does that mean it's not like not that good? Like someone saw it and was like, I throw this on streaming. But when I saw it, I was like, shit, I should have seen this in the theaters. Like I should not have watched it at my house. But yeah, Frankenstein to me was caught me by surprise a little bit, but I absolutely like adore that film. I can't wait to watch it again. My wife informed me that she hasn't even seen it yet, so maybe we'll do that tonight when we've done this.
Oh yeah. No, that's actually that one did not make my list. I will say that I really enjoyed it. And I will say there's a lot of stuff that I even loved about it. I think the only reason I didn't make my list, and that's, I mean, it's also, I probably would have enjoyed it more if I read the book, because I'll be honest, I've never read the book, and I am a big fan of the Universal Monster movie, um, as well. So going into it, that's kind of all I had to compare it to, which, so like when this all started, uh, like I really liked the opening and like kind of him fucking people up and stuff, not gonna lie.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I was like, is that how it's supposed to? Like, I just kind of like, I immediately was just like questioning like what kind of creature we're getting here, and then I feel like that tone didn't like continue on, so like that. I was like kind of excited for that tone of a movie. So then when it slowed back down and got more into like the background of Frankenstein, even like so young, it kind of like started to like slow down the movie too much for me. But I mean, that's the thing is if it's in the book, I can't argue it. So,
Well,
but
no, I mean, he took some liberties. So if
Mm.
you ever, because I know you don't really sit down to read, if you ever listen to the audio, which I think you should, because it's one of the, like, the greatest
Mm.
like pieces of literature. You'll notice what I'm talking about, but this story is way, 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 way closer to Mary Shelley's version.
yeah.
Yeah, and how old was Mary Shelley when she wrote that?
18.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
So what's nuts is a little bit of backstory about that.
Mhm.
Her writing that story is it was a contest. I can't remember who the person was that like set it up, but there was a contest. Like you had to write like a horror novel,
Mm.
or a horror story, and
Sure.
it was probably for, I don't know if it was for Halloween or anything like that, but I think he just wanted it. And so there's three stories. There's a story called The Vampire, then there's Frankenstein, and then there's like whatever this guy who like arranged this contest, like he was the
Mhm.
other one. I have a version of the book that has the two other stories in it, and
Oh, that's cool.
you're like, oh, she outright won this contest. Like this
Ah,
isn't even
sick.
fucking close. Like she wrote a story that's like 300 pages, and their stories I think combined are 50 pages.
Mhm.
So like, yeah, so it's an interesting like why she wrote it, but yeah, she was like 18 when she wrote that story.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now and then
Yeah,
of
I was
course, sorry, go
oh,
ahead, Steven.
oh, I was just gonna say I was pretty much in the same camp as you, Tim. Like I watched the movie and I was like, this is a masterpiece. It's, Del Toro's, I mean, Guillermo del Toro's like masterclass director, the scenery, everything. I'm just like in awe. But yeah, I personally don't have like a history with like Universal monsters as much, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, like Frankenstein has just never been the story that I'm like that interested in. So, I don't know. I just, yeah, it's an incredible movie, but it didn't hit my top 10 quite yet. But
Yeah, and I almost put it on my non-horror movie list, but then I
mm,
felt like that was blasphemy because I'm like, you can't put Universal's off of the horror.
I
But
know that's what I felt.
Yeah.
I felt the same way, dude.
yeah, but and I will say another thing that is a knock against the movie, but it's not a fair knock because it's just a personal thing, is Mia Goth. Like I'm so Mia Gothed out, and I love the girl.
Mm,
Like I'm such a big fan. I could watch Pearl tomorrow, and it feels different. But just seeing her
sure.
like with nothing to change her, like she did really good in that once when she's like playing the mother role and she's like a little different and stuff.
Mm,
But once she just became herself again, it just takes me out of movies. Honestly, same with
sure.
Oscar Isaac a little bit. He was good. He was good enough that that didn't bother me, but for some reason
Mm,
her just kind of took me out of it. Seeing her against like that makeup, I wish I could have seen a face I was less recognized. That was I wish could see a face that was less recognizable next to like the Frankenstein makeup, so that way it wasn't like that's awesome makeup, but that's Mia Goth. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like,
Sure.
but other than that, like I said, that's like a personal thing. That's not even like actual. That can't be a true knock on the movie because it wasn't. It was a good performance too. It just uh, as soon as I see her face, I'm like,
Well, I feel like this was her most subdued performance in years. Normally, she plays like a fucking absolute lunatic.
yeah,
And this one is she kind of played it straight in this, and and yeah, like you said, like I think she's an excellent actress, and I like things that she's in. I like a lot of like the whole X series is great, but like
Mhm.
she has been in everything like recently. So like
Mhm.
it was just this was just like another one of the like yeah, I'd like to take some time. Like give me a year where there's no Mia Goth films.
yeah. And she
I
was in
feel that.
movies I liked rewatching, like Pearl, X, Infinity Pool, she's even in Suspiria, so the remake, of course. And so, like, it's one of those things that not only is she in a bunch of movies, but she's in stuff I've watched. Like, I've watched Pearl probably like 10 times at this point, and I've at least seen X about 5 times itself. So, uh, then I saw Maxine a few times. So, definitely, it's one of those things that not only has she been in a bunch, but I've watched those things several times. So now I'm like, and then I watch her interviews. So I do it to myself because, especially once a new movie comes out, I like to listen to a lot of interviews after I've seen the film to like listen to them talk about certain things because then you could put the like visual that they're talking about to what they're saying without worrying about like a accidental spoiler, I guess, or something like
Mhm.
that. But what about your number five, Steven? I keep wanting to call you something else because I keep looking over at Toxic Coffin like I don't know your name, but it's just throwing me off every time.
R.I.P.
Right.
Yeah, my number five, and I feel like this is probably where some people are gonna be like, "What?" But yeah, mine was weapons. So it's just right past yours.
Higher.
Higher. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Um, but yeah. That was. I mean, love the movie. And um, and objectively is better than probably some of the films that I have higher. But yeah, I was just in the same camp as you, Tim, pretty much. So, and we had a
Okay.
whole episode on it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's not really much more. That's why I didn't know really what to say about weapons because I was like, we talked about it for a good amount of time and I
Mm,
made it known in the episode how much like what I liked about it and the few small
mm,
things I had a gripes with it. So, and
yep.
really none of that stuff has changed. You know what I mean? Because I've rewatched the movie since then and enjoyed it just as much. But
Yep.
my number five might be higher up on y'all's list. I don't know. Maybe not. But my number five is Companion. Is that a higher?
Higher.
Okay. Hell yeah. We'll go with number four. Steven, what's your number four? Because now that we're doing the top five, we'll like move up a person each.
Sure. This one is another one that's probably, I feel like, gonna annoy people, but it's Sinners.
Higher.
Yeah.
Higher, yeah.
Fair, totally fair.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and yeah. So yeah, do we just move on to
Yeah, we'll just talk
the
about it
next?
when we
We're just
get
gonna
to
talk
it.
about
Yeah.
my movies because I'm just
Yeah,
gonna keep higher
Right.
yours.
that's fine.
Well,
That's fine.
eventually
That's
we'll
fine.
hit these because
Yeah.
can you take? Sorry, I had to.
Girl.
Yeah, Ism Creed. My number four, I know won't be skipped because you both already talked about it, and that's the monkey. So,
Hmm.
I just absolutely enjoyed the monkey. I didn't know what to expect going into it because I read the
Hmm.
short story and already seeing the trailer, you knew that he wasn't strictly adapting that, but taking just some small elements, like being in the hotel with his son and, like in the later stuff, and he's an adult, which he has his like whole family and stuff in the short story, but and then like this little bit of some of the stuff with the babysitter and but once that opening scene happened with Adam Scott in that little like pawn shop, I immediately knew like the tone, like he set the tone perfectly with that. You knew what kind of film you were getting into. You knew like exactly how gory it was going to get, the dark humor that was going to come with it. So I immediately was like sold in there. And then once you meet the babysitter and her name is Annie Wilkes, you're like, this motherfucker, like he's
Hmm.
just going all in. So like everything is just like it was goofy. He was referencing Stephen King left and right.
Yeah.
There's just so many things about this film to enjoy, and I will say that one of the biggest gripes I have about this film is some of the dialogue that the children say is like very like cringy. But then
Yeah.
thinking about it, it makes sense because like Stephen King writes some cringy dialogue sometimes for kids, so it felt like somebody else trying to copy Stephen King doing that, and
Oh,
that's
interesting.
where like
Hmm.
Osgood Perkins came across some of these like one of the lines he says is like the kid's bullying the other kid and he tells him to like suck his banana, like say you want to suck the monkey's banana or whatever. And that scene stuck with me because I was like, that's such a fuck. Like it made me feel weird. I was like, nobody would say that. But then I was like, I don't know. I guess like thinking about some Stephen King books, that sounds like a Stephen King fucking thing. So no, I just really enjoyed this movie. I loved the like the look of the monkey. I definitely want to get it back here on the shelf somewhere at some point. everything about it. I would watch a Monkey sequel. I loved the way it ended. I loved like how it was a dark comedy, but super bleak too. Like it stayed bleak. Like there was no like heartfelt ending or anything really. So no, I enjoyed it. And I even like the reference, like so many subtle references, like even the Ramones, like the kid being dressed like the Ramones, literally just because like Stephen King references the Ramones in like three different books, and then of course they did all the stuff for Pet Cemetery and shit like that. So and I think the Ramones was even referenced in the Monkey, if I'm not mistaken. He's like listening to the Ramones or something
Oh yeah, there is something like
in the
that. Yeah,
in the
you're right.
short story. But either way, so I just really enjoyed the film. I've already watched it like 4 or 5 times. This is one that I did watch with Ari, and more after like 3 kills, Lauren was like, "Really, Tim?" I was like, I was like, we could turn it off. Like after the lady jumped off the diving board into the tub or into the pool, she was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh, we can stop." I forgot. Well, and she
That
didn't really
movie has
like.
some great splatter.
And I forgot about the fact that they talk like the mom talks mad shit about like we all die and nobody
Yeah,
gives it, like it doesn't matter. Like it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
and
real
like
boys.
yeah, when she's talking, Lauren, that I think that was actually what made Lauren look at me more than the gore. But then the gore was like the
Mhm.
straw that broke the camel's back or whatever. But no,
Sure.
so I love the monkey. I already got it on Blu-ray. I watched it. I used an excuse every time. I went and saw it in theaters. Used the excuse to watch it when it hit Hulu. Then bought the Blu-ray, watched it. Then I used the excuse to show my 5-year-old, but I had to stop it halfway through. So,
I love it.
so no, I enjoy this film. This is one I want to do on the projector one night, just because it's a fun like hanging out with
Mhm.
people watching a movie. So.
Yeah,
And I'm with you, Steven, with the Final Destination thing. Not that this is the storyline I want with Final Destination, but
Sure.
that
Yeah.
like almost gag a minute kill where it's like within like 5 minutes you're seeing another kill, and they're all very Rube Goldberg or whatever the
Yes.
term is, but like they're all very like crazy but could happen type thing. So now I love this film and I'm excited to see and because of Keeper making my list, I'm
Mhm.
excited to see what Osgood does next. The fact that
Yeah.
that dude put out 3 movies in 2 years and both of them, Long Legs made, I think it was like my number 4 last year, and then both of
Mhm.
his films made my top 2 this year. He's really stepped it up because I didn't really care for Black Coats, so I didn't watch Hansel and Gretel, Pretty Little Thing That
Okay.
Lives in the House or whatever it's called. So I'm excited. Now I want to go back and watch those two and
I
maybe
think
Yeah.
reevaluate Black
I,
Coats. But
I think he already has like another film like not ready to go, but like he's about to like start his next film
Sure.
yeah, the cast. You're right because I saw some casting for it, and the cast looks amazing.
because
So
he always posts like the finished scripts, like he always posts like the top of it and be like,
Mhm.
oh, here I have this next movie, because like when he did um well, Keeper, he showed a teaser at the end of the Monkey. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
like at the end of at the end of the credits, you already got like a teaser for the next movie. Like that
Mhm.
was insane. I waited around the credits at the end of Keeper to be like, am I going to get the next one? Like, what are we
Mhm.
doing? But spoiler, there's nothing at the end of the credits of Keeper. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, he's
I
got
know.
one
I
cup.
still need to see that one so bad. But
Yeah, I didn't wait for the credits, even though I should have because of the
yeah,
sneaky preview. But his next film is called The Young People, and it stars Lola Tung, Nico Parker, and Nicole Kidman, and it says
mm,
to have a Lovecraftian hint. So I'm really excited for
sick.
that.
yeah,
So
Sounds good.
and
yeah. I
it's
don't even
coming
need
out
to see
next
a
year,
trailer. I'll go.
Yeah.
Like I don't need a
Yeah.
trailer. Just fucking tell me when it comes out.
right? Hell yeah. What about you? What's your number 4, Ren?
My number 4 is my favorite Richard Bachman book, The Long Walk.
Hell yeah,
This movie was fucking perfect.
yeah.
I love that it is as fucking mean spirited as the book is. It captures all of the, um, like, these kids make friends, like knowing that, like, hey, within like hours, like you could be dead. There's like this like bonding. It's like the original battle royale. There were some subtle changes from the book that I appreciated because it kept me as a reader who like very much knows the story. Um, it kept me like into it because I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that, but like I like those changes. There's a very without. Have you both seen it?
I've seen
I
it, but
still need to check it out. It
Okay,
is on my list.
then
Yeah.
I will not tell you the spoiler, but there is
Okay.
there's a major scene in the film that
Mm.
is changed from the book. And I saw some discourse about it. Some people are like, "Oh, I absolutely hated that because they
Mm.
wanted the book version of that particular scene." I, on the other hand, liked that. I was surprised and I liked how they handled it. So I was,
Mm.
I thought it was great. So if you don't have any like, have you ever read the story?
I haven't. No, I'm
Okay,
I'm
so
going. I mean,
then
other
you
than
go,
seeing the trailer, like I'm pretty excited to go in as
then,
blind as possible.
yeah, then you won't have any gripes with
Mm.
this particular scene. The only thing I didn't like, or I have a knock against it. There's one character, the character of Stubbins. It doesn't make any sense to you guys until you see it, but his character in the book is like this. It's way different. He's just like this unstoppable force that like doesn't talk. He's like a weirdo that's like in the background the whole time. And his character's not that in this. It's fine, like what they did with it, but I would have much rather had this like almost like inhuman thing. Like he doesn't look inhuman, but he's just like this kid that just is weird. He eats peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and doesn't talk. And every time he does talk, he says something really fucked up. And like that doesn't he doesn't do that in the movie. It's a little bit different how they portray that character. And like I don't hate it, but I just wish I got the book version of it. But other than that little element, The Long Walk to me is one of the best. Like if the round table ever does another Stephen King adaptations, it's probably going to sit in my top 5 of all time. Like it's pretty as close to the book as you can get.
Yeah, I honestly was trying my hardest to watch it before this episode, just because I was like, I've heard nothing but praise for this movie, and it was one of those movies that like the trailers came out, and I was like, I'm mildly interested in it. There was something about like the color grading and the way that it looks in the trailer that I was just like, I don't even know if this is going to be all that interesting to me. But everybody I've seen and people that I care their opinions about have loved it, so I'm excited to watch it.
You're not going to feel good walking out of that.
Sure, that's fine.
It's one of those bleak ass like stories that King wrote as a Bachman, but but yeah, it's awesome, and I highly recommend it. So as soon as you can see it, totally watch it. That's why it's number 4 on my list.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, if I would have included this in my horror list, it probably would have dropped in at number 6, right above Weapons, right below Companion. But I really loved this film as well. It was, and if I would have seen it like earlier in the year, it might have been even higher. But it's one of those things that once something locks in and you really enjoy it, it's hard to like beat it out sometimes. So, but I was telling somebody at work the other day, because they brought up, like we were talking about the movie and stuff, because they had said they had seen it, and I was telling them, I was like, this movie is one of the first movies in a while that made me care about characters like instantly. Like as soon as these people start, like these kids start talking to each other, you immediately like just love their chemistry and all this stuff. So
it's hard to do too nowadays for me, especially like watching most like teenage actors or those type of characters. I feel like I can't resonate as much as I would, so. But.
And it seems like almost every show nowadays like tries to have like an asshole in a group of friends, and that doesn't make sense because they're already friends from lifelong things. It's like, why would you be friends with the asshole, the blah blah. But in this, it makes sense for some kids to be assholes because they're not friends, but they're like stuck in a situation together. So there's just so many different personalities, and it makes sense for them to be together. And but no, I love this film and definitely recommend checking it out, Steven. So glad to see it high up on your list, Wren. It definitely like I said, if I would have seen it, that's definitely one that I could see. If I saw it before, some other ones definitely being higher, but and I definitely wish I would have seen it in theaters, because that's another thing, is I had to watch it at home by the time I got around to it. But in theaters sometimes can make for a little bit better experience. But don't really have any knocks on the film either. But
Nice.
I guess we're going on to number 3 then.
Yep.
Okay, I'll kick off number 3. My number 3 is Bring Her Back. Is this higher for you, Steven, or?
Nope.
Okay.
Didn't even make the list.
No, I feel you.
Spoilers. I liked it. It was on the bubble for me for like 10 and 11. So, and I kicked it out just because I had fun with Ash and wanted to have that on there. So,
yeah. And it was your number 10, right, Wren?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, this one really just made it high up for me because of these guys have done such a good job at creating dread. It's almost them. Like the only person I put next to them is Damien Rugna, that did When Evil Lurks and Terrified. And those guys just have such a good job at like fucking you up early and then like leaving you with stuff in between, where it's like you sit with so many scenes in this movie where you think something crazy as fuck's gonna happen and you want to look away and then nothing happens, or you think something crazy is gonna happen and it does, like the melon scene and shit like that, or just the kid alone that played I can't even remember any of the names because it's been a minute since I watched it, but the main kid, obviously Oliver, I think is the name that she calls him or whatever, but I don't know if that's, I don't think that's
yes, I think that's right.
But and the kid's name is something Wren Phillips, because I remember his name being something with Wren in it, because I remember calling him John Wren Phillips and that being wrong.
But... best actor of all time.
But anyways, that kid, like, doing his own stunts, like getting that makeup put on him, even though they offered to get an actor and stuff. Like he just knocked it out of the park. Sally Hawkins was amazing. Uh, the blind girl was amazing. Like everybody in this film just knocked it out of the park, and I loved the tension that's built, the story that's like the lore that's put in the background that you don't really need to know everything, but you know that
Mhm.
there's more to it that is out there. And I think one thing that like grew this film for me is like just listening to the Philippo brothers talk about it, as
Mhm.
well as just talk about how they make films in general. Like they pretty much make a Bible for the lore in this film before even doing the
Mhm.
film. So they know every something that might seem like a plot hole to us, to them has like an explanation. They're just not going out there and telling it. And
Mhm.
they're very smart guys, even though they come off so fucking goofy, like in all their
Mhm.
stuff. And they're doing death matches and shit. And like their next
Sure.
movie is a death match documentary, which I'm super stoked for. And but like the links they're also willing to go to perfect their films and get what they want is amazing. I don't know if you guys have heard any of their interviews where he talks about how they got
Mhm.
the knife chewing effect, but
Yeah.
literally, yeah, they were in there getting Foley and like trying to make the sound for like when he's chewing the knife. And
Mhm.
small spoiler alert for somebody chews a knife in the movie, but and they could not get a sound to work like it, work for it. So I don't know if it was Michael or Danny, but one of the Filippo brothers just went in there and said, "Give me a fucking knife," and just starts chomping on the bitch, and they just
Oh,
recorded it.
damn.
And of course, he didn't like actually like put it in between his teeth or nothing, but he was like biting
Uh,
down on a metal knife. And so I was just like, these dudes go above and beyond. The fact that
mhm.
they bet on themselves with Talk to Me and it's paid off twice in a row
Mhm.
is just insane. I'm excited to see what they do outside of the genre, but also can't wait to see them return to the genre and return to Talk to Me
Mhm.
in a few years. With a sequel that's not so forced, the fact that they're
Sure.
they're smart enough early in their career to use their leverage to be like, we'll do that for you, but not right now. Like,
I appreciate that they're doing that actually
Yeah.
a whole lot.
yeah, so they've already shown how smart they are. But they're so lovable and but
Mhm.
so low key brilliant. It's just I love watching these guys, and I can't wait to see their careers just blossom. And I'm glad that like
Mhm.
their movies have gotten praise back to back. Because even like Bring Her Back, like being lower on people's list, and it's not even being on some people's list, they still like it. You know what I mean? So like I've
Oh, hands down. I mean, this didn't make my top 10, but 100% the most horrific film of my
yeah.
opinion of the
Yeah.
year. So, but yeah.
No, and that dread is hard to sit in for sure. It's definitely
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's not like Talk to Me where you have like levity of the kids and like
Yeah.
it. It's not dreadful until like they actually start doing shit. This movie
Yeah.
is like right from the beginning just starts getting.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I was most impressed with this movie over over Talk to Me was I loved how the like lore and the occult nature of it was, to me it was done in a more even it's very ambiguous and you don't really know, like to me it was a little more digestible than like what the lore is in Talk to Me, and maybe we learn more in the sequel, but yeah, I don't know, I liked it because of that. So
Oh yeah. Well, Ren, what's your number three?
My number three is Weapons.
Oh yeah.
Um, is that higher on anyone's list, or do we? Or I think it's lower on both of your lists, right?
it's, yeah, it's lower for both of us because
So yeah,
you were
so
six, right,
yeah,
Tim?
Yeah, it was six for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So Weapons. I loved it. I loved that the movie didn't feel like it felt like five different like subgenres of horror, like
Hmm.
at different times.
Sure.
Like it starts off with these kids missing, and then it turns into this like detective type stuff, and then
Hmm.
it's witchy, and then it goes fucking completely batshit in the third act. Um, yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It might be the film I had the most fun with over. I've watched it half a dozen times since it's been on HBO or whatnot.
Hmm.
I think Zach Krieger's at this point where, I mean, I've loved him since he did Whitest Kids, so I'll pretty much watch anything he does. I would
Hmm.
love to see him come back to straight up comedy and see if he can do like see if he can match the fun of Miss March. But um, yeah, I mean, it's been talked about enough. But
Sure.
Weapons is to me was probably the most fun film. I think it's might be the film I've watched the most this year in
Mm.
terms of like what's in my top 10 of horror. So, I won't spend too much more time on it, but it was, yeah, that's why I hit number three.
For me, the only reason mine it wasn't higher on my list is purely just like I liked it so much for it not specifically being a horror film. And so when I tried to like, it's funny, I had a conversation with this director at a film festival this fall, and he was like, "What do you mean it's not?" And I was like, "It is a horror film, but like it's lighter on the horror to me in comparison to other horror films. So it's hard for me to compare it in whatever my like range and notes for what I want a horror movie to be. But yeah, the movie is rules. Like it, I like it like the way I like a, Tarantino film, but yeah, it would have been higher, but yeah, I guess just the horror was lighter for me than I wanted it to be to make it higher on my list, I guess, which is also going to be very hypocritical when you hear my number two. So anyways, I'll shut my mouth. So,
Now, really, for me, the only reason was I kind of went in expecting something a little bit more like twisty turvy, kind of like
mm,
Barbarian, and this kind of just reveals itself. Like it's not, I wouldn't really
yeah,
call it a twist. It's more like this is what's happening, and it's revealed to
mm,
you in a very unique and very like excellent storytelling
sure.
like way and stuff. And that's one thing I liked about this film is I think I went in expecting like a Barbarian and just got something I loved in a completely different way. But it just wasn't. It was like so. It was mostly expectations, but I mean, dropping it from expectations probably dropped it what from 3 to 6.
Mm,
So no, I still love this film, and it's
mm.
probably the only film I've rewatched with Lauren. Like after going and seeing it in the theater, and she was like, "I'm never watching a Zach Cregger film again. That was unsettling
Mm.
as fuck. I don't like it." And that's the thing is like for like Steven, like you were saying, it doesn't really feel like heavy on the horror, but for her, she was like that. She
Oh,
did
that's so
not
funny.
like it. Like the haircutting
Well,
scene,
yeah.
fucking
Oh
scary
yeah.
as shit, dude.
Yeah, my wife was the same way. I watched it with her, and that was the second time I got to watch it. And even she had been told by some people like, yeah, it's not too bad. My wife is not the biggest into horror, and yeah, there was definitely she was like, okay, that was sucked, So, but
Yeah. Nah, I will say that Miss March is one of the movies I still quote to this day. The silly firemen can't turn their trucks around. The fucking, I love that movie. That and Wise Kid You Know is awesome. But oh yeah, it's Saturday. But what about you, Stephen? What's your number? We're number two or three?
three, three.
Three. Yeah,
My number three is Together.
fuck, higher.
Higher. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Which I already did my number three, so it's my number two is Together. So we can go ahead and talk about Together.
Wait, hold on. Did we get Ren? Did you do your number three?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
weapons.
Okay, gosh. Yeah, okay. Sorry. I'm too ADHD for this list. So,
We can go ahead and
all right.
talk about Together since it's my number two. If you want to talk about it though, and then I'll talk about it, and then we'll kick into y'all's number twos.
Sure. Yeah, go for it. All
Uh,
right.
well, yeah, I'll talk about it since it's higher
I
on my
can't
list.
talk about it because I didn't say it. So have fun.
Fair enough.
Okay, I definitely won't spoil anything, which I wasn't trying to. I wasn't gonna try to anyways, but
I don't even give a shit. Go ahead.
uh, I will start by saying I know this has some like a little bit of backlash because there was like somebody claiming that they stole the story, but then the other
Mm.
director came out and like proved that his stuff was written like sooner and stuff. Nothing like, and by the other director, I mean the director of Together proved his stuff was written like beforehand
Yeah,
and stuff.
I saw that it wasn't as conclusive. You like it seemed like, oh, this is some bad taste. And then yeah, a friend of mine was like showed me some of the lawsuit and I was like, oh shit, like yeah, this is not as damning as what it sounded like in the beginning. But
Yeah.
yeah.
No, and I wouldn't have probably had it so high on my list if the stuff was, kind of damning. But
Mm,
I've heard like several like high up podcasts talk about it, like the next big picture podcast, which they
mm,
interview like everybody. I think like the last thing I listened to, they were interviewing Yargos Lanthimos or somebody like that,
mm,
or maybe even Emma Stone because I was listening to like Begonia interviews and stuff. But either way, Together to me was just absolutely like a blast from start to finish. It really works in the body horror elements as well as other horror elements that kind
mm,
of sneak in throughout. I feel like the chemistry is absolutely off the charts between Dave Franco and Allison Brie, and
mm,
I almost want to call her Brie Larson sometimes, but just
mm,
the Brie part.
mm,
But I feel like their chemistry is just off the charts, which makes sense because they've been married for almost a decade now, I think, and this film just works in every aspect. I love the relationship dynamic. I love
mm,
the way that the body horror plays out. I love the way the look of certain things is like the cave where they stumble upon the body horror stuff and
mm,
certain things like small spoiler alert, but you see it within like the first 5 seconds. But there's like a dog that's like blended together with another dog, and it's
mm.
just like little stuff like that. It's all practical and it all looks
Yep.
amazing. So there's a few CGI parts like later in the film that I wish were touched up or a little bit less touched up and probably more practical. But I also understand like just budget and issues and stuff like that. But and the only other problem I have is they're struggling as a couple and
Mm.
somehow afford like one of the nicest fucking houses out in the woods I've ever seen in my life. So stuff like that always bothers me about films. It's like put them in a trailer park, but I guess there wouldn't be body horror in a trailer park. But no, the fact that they're
Mm.
literally like living off of like a teacher's salary and like in a nice ass cabin in the woods type shit, I'm like, hell
And
no.
he's like a musician,
A failed
like
musician.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But and that's like another part of the movie that's just super funny. Like, you know what I mean? Like even as somebody that like stopped playing in bands years ago and
Mm.
never really tried to take it too serious, it's just funny to like hear that stuff and like uh because you hear people in the industry do talk about stuff like,
Oh, totally.
getting a label. Like there's a scene in the movie where he says something about his friend's like, well, why don't you just get on a label? He's like, yeah, I'll just do that. And it's like, yeah, like you could just go like, hey, like go up to like a reception desk and be like, sign me today or whatever. You know what I mean? So no,
Hello, Mr. Record Man.
but it was coming from like a place of privilege when the guy said it. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah,
like you could see where like for some people, oh, it seems easy because it came easy, to them.
sure.
But no, so I really enjoyed this film. I don't want to, I can't go. I won't go into too much more because
Yeah,
it would get into spoiler territory, and I really want more people to see this. And this is another one I don't think it's hit like a streaming service for free yet, and
yeah,
I think it'll get a second wind when that happens.
yeah.
Uh,
And I think to echo with you is like the thing I was impressed with just the body horror aspect. It does more with body horror than it just being like, oh yeah, it's gross, lots of mashing and mushing and goo and stuff like that. Like there's the lore that it adds to it is awesome and it's super fun. That I haven't seen in a lot of body horror films. So yeah.
Yeah, and it actually is like part of the story. It's not just like this
Mhm.
person is changing because like as much as I love like Starry-Eyed or Starry Eyes,
Yeah.
like that's one of the things that you could tell the story with like a different thing. Like she could be becoming possessed and the movie would feel the
Hmm.
same. But this movie, because of the relationship, it like needs that body horror and stuff like that. So nah. And then of course anything with Spice Girls in it is fucking dope. So shout out Spice Girls. But uh
Yeah.
nah, this is one that I definitely want to watch again. I'll probably eventually pick up the Blu-ray, and
Mm.
it shot up high for me at number two. It was one of those that at first I was like maybe it would be at number four or five, but as I was putting the list together, I was like I really enjoyed Together, and I want to watch it again for sure. But
Mm.
hell yeah, we can go with uh Steven, if you want to go with your number two, then we'll go to Ren for his number two, and well
Sure.
actually let's go to Ren next, so that way Ren can kick off number ones, and then we'll just go to our back to our regular thing. So Ren, if you want to go with your number two.
My
Okay.
number two is, so I've seen some people try to say that this isn't a horror movie, but I classify it as a horror movie. Um, and it was number one for a really, really long time, and I didn't think it was ever going to get topped. But that is Companion.
Mm.
Uh, I fucking love this film. It's hard for me to put into words why I like it. I
Mhm.
love all the performances. I love the idea of this, like, more than a sex doll that is, that it can gain its own like self-awareness. Like
Mhm.
I don't know, like there's just something about it. Like I remember watching the trailer for it and being like, this looks awesome. My only gripe is I wish they didn't reveal that she was a robot in the trailers. I
Mm.
wish that when her
I
eyes
agree.
went white when the first time when he's like, when he says her name and he's like off and her eyes go white and it shuts off, you're like, oh, like that should have been a fucking like pop
Yeah.
in the when you saw it in the theaters.
Her
So
name's
that's my
Iris
only
because of the Goo Goo Doll song.
yeah, that's right,
Mhm.
Iris, yeah. So like that was my only complaint about this film is like when I watched it in the theaters the first time, I was like, man, that would have been fucking so great if they didn't show that she was a
Mhm.
robot in the trailers, and then that part hit, and you're like, oh, this is a completely different fucking movie than I thought I was
Yeah.
getting. But no, I love it. I'm drawing a blank on her name, and normally if I was on my computer, I would be looking it up right now. But the lead actress, I liked her in Heretic, so when I saw her pop up for Companion, I was like, oh, this is awesome. And I know she's in
Yellow
Yellow
Jackets.
Jackets,
Yeah.
but I have
Sophie
only
Thatcher
watched
is her
like
name.
Mhm.
yeah, I've only watched like an episode here or there. My wife has watched it and she loves that show.
Mhm.
But yeah, yeah, it's like I said, it's really hard to like put into words why I love it. But like every time it's on, like I just stop and watch it now. It's like one of
Mhm.
those films where like no matter where it's at, it could be like 10 minutes from the end of the film, and I'm just like, oh, this is what I'm watching for the next 10 minutes. Or it could be like 5 minutes after the opening credits, and I'm like, well, I'm here for another 90. Like I love this film. Like I said, it was my favorite film. It came out early in the year,
Yeah.
like real early in the year, and I was like, shit. I'm like, did I just see my favorite film like already? Like, and I didn't think it was going to get beat. Like, obviously, I have a number one that's above this, but for the longest time, I thought Companion was going to stay like at the top. Like I thought it was going to be like a whole year at the top, but yeah, that's it. That's all I can really say about it right now.
Oh yeah. Nah, this is
Uh,
one. Go ahead, Steve.
oh no, I was gonna. The only thing I was gonna really add. I mean, I do really like this, and it was in my like running of potentially being in my top 10. Um, I can't stand Jack Quaid. Uh, and so this movie makes me so happy to not like him
Uh,
as
yeah,
an
he plays a
actor.
good dick in this. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, yeah, gosh, yeah, he deserves it. So,
Oh yeah.
but
No, I had this at my number five, and I'm with you. It's one of those things that it easily would have been number one if I would have went into this not knowing she was a robot, because that shock would have elevated the film so much more. But uh, no, and they could have easily promoted it with this cast, because even though you don't like Jack Quaid, he's such a big star because of The Boys, and then
sure.
Sophie Thatcher is everywhere right now. Everybody loves Harvey Gilliam, which I mentioned earlier on, but
Mhm.
being in Life of Chuck, but forgot about this one and talking about what he was been in and stuff. But uh, no,
Guillermo.
yeah, but I I'm with you. It's when I first saw this film, I honestly think another reason it's a little bit higher up on my list at number five is because I went and saw it. I luckily went to one of those like Monday night mystery AMC showings, and like it was highly rumored to be this, and it
Mm,
was. And so I got to see it with like a very fun, full crowd that loved it. Everybody was excited and like had a blast. So it was like a good showing, like a good theater experience. So I immediately like walked out very high on the film. It was my number one too, but I was had the thought too. Ren is like, okay, it's early, I'll wait and see what comes out. Um, and then when it came out on HBO Max, I probably watched this thing like three times in a month. And I think that's the problem is that I kind of burnt myself out
mm,
on it early in the year. So like later in the year, I didn't want to like return to it and rewatch it. Like The Monkey I watched when it came out, and then a few months later watched it again, and then a few months. So I think if I would have actually gave this one time
mm,
and then rewatched it again, it probably easily would have been top three. Uh, but I burnt myself out on it early, and I haven't watched it again since. But I'm with you. There's not a single thing I don't like about this film. It's a
mm.
blast. Sophie Thatcher is perfect in the role, and she's only two in, so we can get. Let's go ahead and throw her in 10 more movies before we get sick of her,
Yeah,
because
I'm all
I'll
for it.
take
I
it.
like her a lot. She's easily my favorite actress in Yellow Jackets too. So yeah, I'm as far as the teenagers go or the younger actresses.
Yeah.
But yeah, Companion was great. Yeah, I kind of I'm jealous that you got to see it in theaters in that way because I saw it at home after it like had been talked about a whole bunch. So everything was already spoiled for me. And so like I just it was one of those movies that I suffered from not having like the freshness to like really like love it on a first watch. I was just like, oh yeah, so I was like just kind of I don't know, it just didn't spark me the way that it would have if I would have gotten to see it in like a fun crowd because then you get all the like yeah good for her kind of like energy so but
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now, what's your number two, Stephen?
so my number two after talking about not putting films higher because I didn't think they were as horror related enough to be on my top three, it's Begonia. um
Fuck yeah.
I just that movie kind of blew my mind. And I don't want to talk too much about it because it is so fresh and I don't want people to have spoilers for it. But like,
Ren hasn't
you
seen
know,
it too, so
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. So
yeah, and when you watch it and it goes horror, you'll be like, "Yep, this is horror." I mean, I feel like it's horror. And for like, I'm a huge Yorgos Lanthimos fan. Probably before my favorite of his was probably The Lobster. Or no, actually, you know what? Killing of a Sacred Deer is probably my favorite before this, and I don't know, something about this movie, like it's like him getting straight to the point a little bit more or a little less like okay, this is weird. It's still weird, but it's just I had a blast. I mean, freaking Jesse Plemons, like I love him in anything that he touches. Like him and Emma Stone have like a perfect on-screen like chemistry all the time now. And yeah, I mean, it's just like it checks a lot of boxes of like subject matters that I really, really, really like. And honestly, I just don't want to say anything more about the movie because like just go into it and I think you'll probably love it if you're a fan of his films. So
oh yeah, love them. My favorite would have been The Favorite going into before it's seen this.
Mm,
So I still
mm.
have to. Yeah, I mean, maybe that changes after I watch this, but it's definitely on the list. And hopefully, I knock it out before next week.
Hell
Okay.
yeah.
Now you should definitely check it out, and we should come back together and do an episode on it because I love that film. It was one of those, literally,
Mm,
it would have been my number one if I put it on the horror list because
mm,
so like pretty much my number two and one on my non-horror would have been my favorite two films of the year,
mm.
but this definitely the only reason I didn't is because I literally just used Google. I said, "Is Begonia a horror movie?" and it said Begonia, or no, I said, "What genre is Begonia?" I didn't say, "Is it a horror movie?" It might have
Mm,
said yes if I asked that, but the whatever the Google AI assistant is was like it's four genres and it was like thriller, sci-fi. So I was
mm.
like, okay, I'm not gonna put it in horror, but definitely would have been my number one if it was. I think Jesse Plemons is an amazing actor. I thought he was
Yeah.
before this film, but this is probably his greatest performance. He
Oh my
is fucking
gosh.
amazing in this. And then the guy that plays his cousin, that whole storyline, without talking any more about it, is just
Yeah.
the best part of the movie in my opinion, but and what makes the movie carry so well. But no, hell yeah, Begonia fucking rules. But
Mm,
hell yeah, now we're down to our number ones. Ren, if
mm,
you want to kick things off with your number one.
My number one horror film is my number one film of the year.
mm,
I went into this. There's a friend of our this podcast, the podcast of the Damned. Candy and I did a whole episode on this. But I think this is hands down like above and beyond number one. And if it doesn't win awards, if it gets skipped over because it's a horror movie, like the Academy needs to just be burnt down. But my number one, if you've been playing along, because I said higher earlier, is Sinners.
mm.
Same.
Um, I did not. I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, cool. Like, I like this idea. Like, it's, different representation doing like a vampire film. Like, I was like really into that idea. And like, I just was like, it was high on my list of, oh, I like Ryan Coogler, but it was
Mm,
also like, it's on my, it was, I wouldn't say it was high on my list, but it was like on my list of like, I need to see this when it comes out. And when
mm.
I saw it, I was like, holy shit, I just saw something special. And I feel like I was right in that statement because like that movie like would never leave the theaters. It was in the theaters forever. They fought to
Yeah.
get it back into IMAX. There was all this stuff. To me, everything to like yeah, some people are like, "Oh, well, it's just Dusk Till Dawn, set in, the Moonshine era." And I was like, "Hey, that's
Hmm.
too broad of a stroke to everything from the culture representations, the music is like its own character. Seeing
Yep.
that in a theater and hearing the music was the blues and all that stuff. Like it was, I felt like I went. I didn't just see a movie. I went and saw an experience. Like when I saw it in the theaters, and Sinners really like it's one of those films like. I'm gonna go back in years and be like, yeah, I remember seeing this in the theater, like and talking about like my it being one of my favorite movie experiences. Like Endgame, the on your left scene will always be my favorite movie experience, just because that was like the whole crowd like got emotional on that. But like Sinners as like a whole is it's got to be in like the top three now. Maybe it's being fresh, but I like feel like this movie. Like I feel like I just saw something really special when I saw this film, and I know there's a lot of people that'll back my opinion on that, but doesn't necessarily need to be you two. But um, yeah, so that's if you really want to hear like a full in depth, go listen to the episode I did with Candy. But this movie is a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, whatever, 100%. I love this film, and like I said, it better not get skipped over on the awards because if they skip it over because it's a horror film, like that's an injustice.
Yeah. Now this is my number one as well, so I'll go ahead and just talk about it, and then we can jump into
Mm.
Steven's number one and talk about how wrong he is. But no, this is one that like pretty much just echo everything you said. I mean, it's something special, and I mean, especially the music. The use of the music in
Mm.
this film is so fucking brilliant, from the score to the live performances, to the blending it with, like almost like these magical. Like I don't want to say being magical like powers almost for the
Mm.
people, like the way that he brings in the ancestors in that one scene, and the way that they use music to protect them, and they say that like music is kind of how they call like how they were even found by the vampires and stuff. It's just everything that they use the music for in this is just so perfect, and it's like it was written so well. Like I love this. I still listen to some of the songs and
Mm,
stuff. So all the performances are great. Michael B. Jordan is you. It feels like two fucking people. Like it's wild how well he pulls off the twins thing. And one of the
mm,
things for me with this film that like really like solidified it for me was when I saw this film. I didn't even go to see this film. So back when it was announced, I was excited. Ryan Coogler doing a vampire film, check. Michael B. Jordan starring, check. I was excited
mm,
for it from just like hearing about the article. As soon as the trailer dropped, we were talking about it in our group chat. Ren, we were all pretty stoked on it. You know, kind of like, you know, one of the, I think you were higher on it than the rest of us, but like I was up there with you as far as like definitely wanted to see it. But then, I was supposed to go see it when it came out, and the week after it came out, we were going to Kentucky for LDB, and
mm,
so I talked to Lauren into just seeing it when we got to Kentucky, then because we were getting there a night early, and I was like, let's go see a movie because I love going to movies when we're out of town if we have like extra time just to see like the local horse. Like I don't go to AMC usually, I try to go to like a local theater and stuff and see like different types of theaters and stuff, and so I wanted to go see it when we were there, and then our car broke down on the way to Kentucky and we got there like 13 hours later than planned. And so we didn't go see Sinners while we were there because like the rest of the weekend was spent at LDB. So then by the time we got back, we were broke from like spending all this money on our, car breaking down as well as being out of town. So I didn't go see Sinners for a while. And then finally, when Final Destination Bloodlines came out on that Thursday, I was going to go to the opening night of that, and I went to go see it in the Dolby Theater because it was like the big extra
mm.
speakers and nicer seats. And so I walked in, and they had like a fucking 404 error page or whatever up on the screen, and I was like, "Well, that's not going to work." And so I walked back out, and I'd already known that Sinners was playing at the same time because I originally planned to go earlier in the day and see Bloodlines, and then stay and see Sinners, and then decided just to do, but I wouldn't have seen Bloodlines in the Dolby. And at that point, Sinners had already been so hyped up. I was like, I'm just gonna wait and see it because like at this point, my expectations are too high.
Mm.
Like I'm not gonna go see it. So I just decided to go do the Dolby of Bloodlines. And because it was fucked up, I walked back out and I walked up and was like, hey, I don't know if you guys know about this. And they're like, oh yeah, the usher was at the bathroom. Blah blah blah. Long story short, they were like, we could put you in another Bloodlines. I said, no, put me in Sinners because I know it's playing right now. And so they were like, there's nobody in the movie theater at all. The movie theater's all to yourself. Just go in there and pick a
Oh,
seat.
nice.
And I walked in right as the movie was starting after their 30 minutes of trailer. So I was lucky with that too. I didn't have to watch all the fucking, I walked in right as Nicole Kidman was telling me about the magic of the movie theater and stuff. So uh, I was super stoked and I fucking had a blast.
Mm,
Even being in the theater by myself, I was just like, immediately taken away by this film. Like the way that they drive the story home and like make you fall in love with all these characters before even getting into the vampire shit is just excellent. Like I didn't even need the vampire shit to love this movie, but I
mhm.
absolutely love this film. And it's another one I've already seen several times. I've already bought it on Blu-ray, and I'll definitely be watching it again. And I don't know, but I'm with Rand. I want some awards for it, but I also want Ryan Coogler
Yeah.
to come back to horror like very soon if he can. So.
Yeah, that's funny. I agree with everything that you guys say, and it's I feel like a jerk not even putting it in my top three. And that's it. I mean, that movie, I did a podcast with a friend, with Phil, on Spook House, and I said even in that, like, this movie feels special. It feels like the same way I felt like seeing something like Indiana Jones, like The Last Crusade. It feels like a movie that is going to be remembered from like, decades on. And it reminds me of like just the way movies hit me, like over time, like just like a great, like the way Forrest Gump hit me or something like that, like just the story itself, like just was so great. And probably the only reason it's not, I think it is the number one movie of the year for me. It's just not my number one horror film of the year. And like, I don't even need the horror aspect of the movie to love it as much as it is. It's just like a fun added bonus, for me, even though it really is about vampires. And I'm just like, yeah, it's horror. But it's so good. I mean, the lore, everything, the way they tie the music to it all. Yeah, it's so good.
Right.
Um,
I
yeah.
listened to the soundtrack, but I definitely turned down the Irish songs a little bit. I'm like, fuck, people can't be thinking I'm racist listening to these Irish songs. Like, he's with the vampires. But
Yeah.
oh yeah, what's your number one, Steven? And then we'll get into some
Uh,
honorable mentions and stuff. But
Yeah, my number one is 28 years.
fuck yeah,
Yeah, I loved it so much. It's funny. I saw it. I'm happy I got to see it before like I heard any. I went like opening night, like a Thursday night at my theater, saw it. Hadn't heard any feedback whatsoever on it, and that movie had so much polarizing feedback, which made me happy because I just went and saw it without worrying about anything. And I'm a huge fan of 28 Days Later. It's hands down probably one of my, if not, it's in my top three favorite like zombie films, if you want to call it a zombie film. I know there's debate on that, but I don't know. It just to me it felt like kind of the return to like you know with purpose, like what Danny Boyle did with the original one. Um, I felt like he expanded it on in ways like, because I was really curious, like, how is he going to handle like the style of the original was all shot on like SD cameras because he wanted it to have like a, like almost amateur collegiate era film look to it, um, and so I was like, how is he going to do that with like how modern, film technology is now? And I felt like he was able to capture some of those things that I was like, oh, this does feel, I know it doesn't look like it's a shitty, low quality resolution, but like there was some stuff that he did that like, I loved like the weird, like multi-pan imagery with the camera work where like you'd get like all the views, all the like weird red like night vision shit. I had no issue with like the mega dong and like some of the stuff that people were like, it just really took me out of the film. Uh the very end of the movie, like I don't everything about it, I was like, yes, okay, cool. I accept. I like it. I like it. I like it. And so I'm so hyped for the next part of the story, and I can't wait to see what Bone Temple delivers. So yeah,
Oh
we'll
yeah.
see.
Now this one was my number 10 for a while, and literally I kind of like talked myself out of keeping it and
Mm,
putting the funner option of VHS Halloween. And it's really just because there's like zero rewatchability to this for
mm.
me. Like I watch Nosferatu for my dong fix, you know what I mean? So I it's not as big, but it's undead, so it's kind of cool, but it's a little
Sure.
unique. But and then I go Toxic Avenger when I want to feel good about myself because you got the little monster dong. But no, so now I really enjoyed this film and the ride that it took you on in the way that it like set up the Bone
Mm,
Temple. But I threw this on in the background one day while I was like cleaning, like after I hit Netflix, and it was the
mm.
second time I watched it, like after we did the
Sure.
episode and everything, and just I found myself just very bored. But I'm also not a zombie film fan.
Mm.
They're infected. We got a comment about that when we covered the episode. We called them zombies, and somebody was not happy, and I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I
Uh,
know that. Yeah,
I won't
that's
call them
funny.
zombies again. They're infected, but I'm
Rage fire. It's a rage virus.
I'm just not a huge fan of those movies in general. I have like few that are like my favorites, and like I love
Sure.
the classics. But as far as any of the newer ones, other than Train to Busan, there's just not many that really stick out to me. The
Mm,
sadness is fun because it goes like crazy and stuff. And
sure.
this film has some of that in it, but there's just so much in between all the fun, crazy stuff that it's just not
Mm.
enough for me to like revisit it. But no,
Well,
that's why it just got pushed out of my top 10. But it's still one of those films that kind of like some of the films that like made our list that didn't make yours,
yeah.
Steven. It's another film that I really like. I would give it like I still rated it. I think I gave it like 8.5 or something. And the way it sets up this trilogy is perfect. But that was another knock
Mm,
on it too, even when it was on the list to begin with, was
mm.
the fact that if you didn't know it was setting up a trilogy, I could see leaving very disappointed because there's
Oh
so
yeah.
much setup for something that isn't guaranteed unless you already know.
Oh, exactly had a friend that had that exact scenario. He's like, "What the hell?" And I was just like,
Yeah.
"It's a trilogy." He's like, "Why?" So,
That's literally my only real knock against it.
mm,
Why I didn't put it higher on my list is because the first two films can stand on their own. You 28 weeks later does require 28 days later, but like
mm,
they do a quick little like, oh, this is a thing, or you could just assume like, oh, there was a virus, it's gone, but now it's
sure.
back. And but I feel like 28 days later and 28 weeks later are self-contained.
Mm,
Whereas this one is very much not self-contained. And it's like
sure.
it literally is it like it kind of annoyed me that like so I like the ending. I like that like how it's like everyone's always like, oh well that final scene with the Jimmies
Mm,
is like so
sure.
totally different that it's like weird. And I'm like, well, I like it because it's now now I know what we're probably kind of getting in the next film. Like it's a little
Sure.
bit of a teaser for it's a what the fuck do they call it in writing?
I've
A denouement.
Oh yeah, I viewed it as like an epilogue or
or an
something like
epilogue.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Epilogue. It's an epilogue. So I was like, that's fun. So to me, it didn't bother me because I'm like, I
Mm,
treat it as such. Like, um,
same.
with him going off into the island, like if they just cut it there, I feel like it might have been you could almost contain it. Like if the Bone Temple, like, oh, we didn't make enough money, the Bone Temple's never coming out. You're just kind of like, oh, okay, well that was another cool like
Mhm.
addition to this like thing. But yeah, that's my only like issue is that I wish because the other two can stand on their own, I wish this one could have also stood on its own instead of being very much a part one.
Sure.
Once all three of them are out, or even maybe with just the Bone Temple's out, maybe that's just gonna be a self-contained story in itself,
Mm,
like a part one and part two. Maybe my opinions will feel I'll shift my opinions on it because I'll be like, oh, now we have part one and part two.
mhm.
Like it's like Infinity War and Endgame type thing, but like with zombie dongs. But
Sure.
like I'm gonna call them zombies. I don't give a fuck about that person. But, but like and I know they're not. But yeah, my thing is like maybe that'll change once the second one's
Mm,
out. Maybe my like and like I said, I loved it. It's in my top 10, but like, my
mm.
one little knock and I'm like it prevented me from keeping it because I
Oh yeah.
if remove that scene and put it at the end of the credits, and 28 years later is in my top five.
Sure. It is true though. I mean, that's a very fair point. Like the rest of this trilogy could be awful, and then it's gonna ruin this movie for me. And
Yeah,
that is gonna be a bummer. So I'm my love for this movie is gambled on hopefully the success that the story pans out. So, but yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I could pull a Ryan Johnson Star Wars trilogy or whatever, where they just
Sure. Yeah.
abandoned storylines because they didn't really have a cohesive thing already, and
Yeah.
but no, uh, no, I'm excited for Bone Temple. It's
Mm.
more into that's higher up on my anticipated list than this was on my top 10 list, just because of
Oh,
how
interesting.
like the strength of this one and how
Sure.
strong it was in setting it up. I think that one has potential to be in my top five next year if it just takes the action and runs with it, especially with the Jimmies.
Yeah.
You got so many storylines going on, and they're already in the midst of action, from the
Mhm.
dad wanting to come out and get the son to the Jimmies recruiting him to everything going on with the Bone Temple. So
Mhm.
it'd be awesome to see for sure. But hell yeah, we can get into some honorable mentions before we do a little bit of audience participation. I
Mhm.
think you got a few of those, didn't you, Ren? Or
yeah. I have a couple.
do you have any, Steven? Or
I do, but now my brain is spacing, but I know I have honorable mentions, so give me a minute and I will remember.
okay, we'll do honorable mentions and then wrap up with those. But I'll kick off honorable mentions just because I
Yeah,
didn't get that many. But Marshmallow, which was a little indie horror film that came out about a group of kids that go to camp, and something kind of sci-fi weird is happening. I really enjoyed that one. I had the director Daniel Del Purgatorio on the podcast, and honestly, I thought about putting this at number 10, but I felt like because it is so indie and like stuff like that, that it would feel like I was pandering to a past guest. But I really consider this for my top 10. It's an excellent film and I highly recommend it. Hard Eyes is one that I just watched for the first
Mm.
time this week actually. I know it came back out in February. I fucking loved it. Even considered that for my top 10 just because I was lacking like a slasher, and it's just a straight up solid slasher in my opinion. I'll revisit it on Valentine's Day for sure. I'm excited for the sequel, Shell, one that me and Steven got to
Oh yeah.
see at the um, Film Fest, and now it's on Showtime. So if you have Showtime, whether it's through Paramount Plus, you can watch Shell. It stars Kate. Is it Kate Hudson? Yeah, Kate
Yeah.
Hudson and the one from Invisible Man. What's her name?
Moss.
Yeah. Stars
Yeah.
Kate Hudson and Elizabeth Moss.
Yeah.
And pretty much Kate Hudson's this big mogul, and Elizabeth Moss is like this aging actress who had like a show when she was younger, and she's trying to like recapture her glory. So she starts taking the stuff that's supposed to like help her look younger and get her glow back. And uh, I thought it was going to be way more close to the substance than it was,
Mhm.
and that's one thing I really liked about it is it's very noirish, and the
Mhm.
ending is fucking wild and unexpected.
Yeah.
I love
Jumps.
Shell.
Yep.
I highly recommend Shell. I wish more people could see it, but
Surprised the hell out of me for sure.
yeah.
Yep.
And then my other two were just 28 Years Later and Frankenstein. I
Mhm.
really enjoyed those
Mhm.
two. They're films that uh, are eights and above. If not, Frankenstein's probably a
Mhm.
nine actual film. It's just a nine that's not for me. And
Sure.
a lot of ways. So those are my honorable mentions. What about you, Ren? Since you're our guest, what you got?
I have The Ugly Stepsister as an honorable mention. I thought that was a really interesting, not only body horror version of Cinderella, but like an honest, like a different angle of it. Like it focused on one of the ugly stepsisters as opposed to Cinderella herself. So like all the Cinderella shit was like happening in the background while this ugly stepsister's like trying to be beautiful. But yeah, definitely recommend that. Could have easily stuck in the top 10, but it just kind of got eked out by some other stuff. Um, I'm going to put it in horror, but even though it's not really horror, but I want to give it like an honorable mention is The Running Man. I loved it. That's my other favorite Bachman book. And depending upon what day of the week you ask me, I might say that that's my favorite over The Long Walk. I like that they followed the actual story a hell of a lot closer than the Arnold version. I only wish that Edgar Wright didn't try to cater to the fans of the original of the original film, I should say.
Sure.
Because the book is so bleak. It doesn't have that comedy. Like, yeah, there's some like smart ass comments that he makes, but it's not. I felt like he put some cheese in there because it was to appease the fans of the original film, because the original film is all cheese.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
So, and I'm okay with the change in the ending. Some people were pissed about that because the ending of the book is way bleaker than what they did in this film. But I had a lot of fun with The Running Man. I can't wait till it's on streaming of some sort so I can watch it again. Another honorable mention is Dead Talent Society, which was I think it's Korean. It's about these ghosts that are trying to be like social media people. Like they want to get likes. They want to get more popular by getting scares. It's a comedy horror. It's ridiculous.
Cool.
It's ridiculous. I was trying to see it at the Philly Film Fest, and I just couldn't get around to getting to it. So when it finally dropped on to streaming, it was like a high to do to get on there. It's not the greatest film, but it's a lot of fun. So I highly recommend that. The other two I saw, Elevation. That's got what's his face? Captain America. Now I can't remember his name.
Chris Evans.
No,
Or
the other
Anthony
one.
Mackie.
Oh,
Yeah, Anthony Mackie. Yeah, it's a sci-fi like monster film, like where they have to stay at a certain elevation in order to the monsters can't go up there, but they have to go down below a certain elevation because of reasons. It's a fun ride. It's not great, but I feel like you could put it on, turn your mind off for 90 minutes, and you'll have a good time. And then the last honorable mention I have is Opus, which I really liked, but I also thought it was going to be a lot better. The cast is the cast there, and then the premise of like them going out to see this like really eccentric singer, like that also started like his own cult basically, and they like won't let him leave. It reminded me a lot of like The Menu. It's like where you can't like some of the comedy aspects to it. And John Malkovich is the fucking man, especially when you just like kind of let him go. And I feel like the director was like, yeah, do whatever you want, and that's how that character came to be. But definitely not as great as I thought it was going to be, but it's totally worth a watch.
Nice. Yeah, I still haven't checked that one off. That was one exactly what you said kept me from seeing it sooner. I was like, this movie's going to be epic. And then I heard everybody say the same thing. Like, I thought it was going to be better than it was. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I need to see it. But
No, I didn't finish that one. That's the only reason I didn't make my honorable mention. But I did enjoy what I saw of it. And that song Dina Simone or whatever it is, fucking slaps, dude. The like fake one at the beginning that they're all like dancing to when they find out he's back, and it shows like all these people singing it. I was like, fucking song rules. I was like playing it up here on my Echo Dot and shit. I can't say the name or else she'll activate it. But
I got one in my room. Don't say it.
yeah, well, I'll just be hearing like different voices. But Steven, what's you got some honorable mentions? And if you want to roll right into your audience participation from there, and then we'll do ours after.
Yeah, mine's just I'm just gonna add one to the honorable mention because you guys covered some of the other stuff, and it's this movie which I was kind of torn to add because I think it's like a 2024 film, but I think by the time it ever got released to be streamed was 2025. So I think it's kind of on that bubble, but it's this movie called Strange Harvest. Have you guys heard anything about that?
Yes, I saw that film. I took my niece down to drop her off for college. I needed time to kill while my dad and my sister, my niece's mom, like slept so they could leave in the middle of the night. So I went to see a movie, and Strange Harvest was the only thing playing. So
Oh,
I
hell yeah.
so go into your little, but yeah, I have seen it.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, that was one that just kind of surprised me. Like I, I, I like found footage and stuff, and but it's never really like my favorite. And I just thought this was like a cool, interesting. It's like a mockumentary, but not in a funny way where it follows like these detectives telling the story of this like infamous like serial killer that's like super sadistic and like, it's very culty and everything. But I don't know, it just had like a cool lore to it, a new killer, if you will. Like it's never going to be like, the killer that tops like, Freddy or Jason or whatever. But I don't know, it's just like a cool new character. And I've had a ton of fun with how they told this. I mean, it was like watching like a like Dateline special of like learning about a killer, but it's all, fictitious or whatever. But it's worth a watch, I think. And it's pretty like pretty gruesome, like there's some good like practical effects and like how they set up the different murders and why things are happening. So, and I feel like you get drawn into like, oh, how is this story going to unfold pretty well. So yeah, I just thought it was like a surprising, like I wouldn't have expected this to be as good as it was. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Did you want to give your thoughts on it, Ren, or?
Um, I feel bad now because I did not like it at all.
Sure.
I wanted to, I heard a whole bunch about it. Some
Mhm.
like websites that I like, and review people whose opinions I think matter were really, really high on it. And
Oh, interesting.
I really like the idea of it. Like, I really
Mhm.
like the idea of telling this found footage through like yeah, like as you said, like a Dateline or something like that.
Mhm.
Like it's mostly told through interviews with like the cops, and then they like cut to the footage and and it's
Yeah.
and whatnot. So I really like the idea of it. I just thought
Mhm.
that I think that it showed its budget really fast, and
Sure. That's very fair.
I think a lot of it was held back by what they couldn't do.
Mhm.
So when it was all said and done, it ended, and I was like, well, I appreciate the filmmaking aspect of it.
Mhm.
I appreciate that they tried something different. But when it was done, I was just kind of like, this movie, I didn't understand why I got a theater release. Like
Mhm.
it very much, but like I think it had it not gotten a theater release, I probably would have never watched it. And
Sure.
I understand that I was like a victim of circumstance because I went to the theaters. I was like, oh, I'll go watch this. I forget what the hell I wanted to watch, but I missed the
Mhm.
screening. But I was like, oh, this other horror movie's playing. That I've been hearing about. I'll go watch that.
Mhm.
Um, and like I support indie film, so I'm glad I did see it and gave it some money. But like when it was done, I was kind of like, there's so much missing from this, and it's not anyone's fault other than that they unnamed directors, unnamed actors,
Sure. Oh,
couldn't get the money
totally.
for it. So that's so I don't want to be too mean. Like the concept was good, what they were
Mhm.
trying to tell, but if I feel like if they had like maybe $1 million more, the
Mhm.
movie would have been a lot better. Would have probably hit for me better.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess it surprised me in a way that like the first time seeing like Hell House kind of thing. Like oh, I did not expect like I actually hadn't heard anything about it. I purely watched it on a whim, like, oh, this I like the idea of this. Let me just check it out. And so yeah, so I even haven't even read like other people's reviews. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I'm glad that I didn't see it because when it was in theaters, everything I was seeing about it was saying uh, like new killer and like kind of making it
Mm,
feel like it was going to be like a found footage slasher. So like I
sure.
thought about going to see it, and now I'm kind of glad that I didn't go see it because I feel like if I went in with those expectations, I wouldn't have liked it as much. But now that I know what to expect and kind of like because it sounds right up my alley as far as like that type of film and stuff.
Hmm.
So now that my expectations are a little tampered and then like waiting for it to hit like streaming somewhere instead of like going and paying to see it and stuff, I'm actually excited to check it out. But
I'm pretty sure it is streaming now. I just can't
Yeah.
remember what it's on.
yeah.
Yeah, it's on. I don't remember it might have been on Tubi or something like that, or yeah, it's on something. But yeah.
Okay, now look for it. But oh yeah, do you want to go into your audience participation, Steven?
I didn't get any audience participation,
Okay,
so I don't have any to share. I apologize. So
all good. I thought you had some, so that's why I was.
nah.
Hell yeah. You can go ahead, Ren. You can drop into yours if you got yours
I
ready.
got two. My buddy Matt, who is a grip and whatnot on a ton, like a laundry list of films. I specifically wanted his feedback on it because he makes these things. But he said in order is Good Boy at number 5, 28 Years Later at number 4, Bring Her Back at number 3, Weapons at number 2, and Sinners at number 1. And then the boss, my wife, she said number 3 was Companion, number 2 was Weapons, number 1 was Sinners.
Fuck yeah.
Nice.
Great list across the board. Now, my buddy Billy hit me up. He used to play in Crucial Dudes, and now he plays in Graduation Speech, I believe, which is a Jersey band. So shout out Jersey again. Uh, Out there fucking bow 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 bow. I fucking love John Bon Jovi, dude. Fuck my parents. My growing up, I probably heard fucking Bed of Roses like 30,000 times by my uncle on guitar. I was like, God damn, dude. Learn Wanted Dead or Alive, dude. But so he said, too long for the answer. Too long for the answer box because I posted it like as a story or whatever. He said it's Sinners, Bring Her Back, and Frankenstein, but I'm sure they're gonna get well covered. So I want to shout out Jimmy and Stiggs, which I bought for $4 on Amazon Prime and wanted to watch so bad before this and just didn't have time.
Yeah, I
So I
still need to
definitely
see
plan
it.
on watching it. And if you don't have it and want to watch it, it's only $4 on Amazon Prime on VOD. So
Oh,
definitely go
nice.
pick it up. But he said, so I want to shout out Jimmy and Stiggs, a film called A Desert, which I just heard about for the first time today, and it looks pretty interesting. Something about a photographer that goes out somewhere and gets into like some trouble. It's been compared to like that film Wake and Fright. Um,
Mm.
and then he said Marshmallow, which is one of the films on my honorable mentions. And then he messaged me again, like late as hell in the night, and said, "Actually, shit, man, have you seen the Tubi original Match? Because it kind of just dropped my jaw, and I think it makes my list. Real freak
Hmm.
shit." So I started watching Match, and it is some real freak shit. Like, and
Okay.
the only reason it's not in my top 10 is because I can't seem to fucking finish the movie. Every time I start it, it's like midday, and then
Mm.
like I have to go do some like dad shit. But pretty much it's about a girl that goes on a date and uh doesn't come home type things. I can't,
Mm.
I can't go into it, but within
Sure,
the
sure,
first 10
sure.
minutes it twists in a good way. So no, I highly recommend Match. It's a Tubi original, and
Mm.
the reason it popped up on my radar is because like the Dead Meat people covered it on their podcast, and I'm like, if they're
Mm.
covering a Tubi original, it's probably good because like they usually don't cover, like they definitely don't cover Tubi originals. Like if they're diving into like shitty movies, it's usually like Sharknado or stuff like
Mhm.
that's at least known. So I was like, let me check this out. And then I had to like get away from it twice, but both times I was like, God damn it, because it's very intriguing. So definitely check out Match on Tubi. Um, and then my other answers were, I got a few more.
Mm.
Little Bracket of Horrors said excited for this episode in no particular order: Weapons, Good Boy, and Frankenstein. Uh, X always wins X, which is I believe Pete from Inclination. He said 28 years later, Sinners and Together. Uh, the podcast nobody asked for, which they have two hosts, so I'm not sure which one it is, but might be Ian because he comments on some stuff sometimes. Sinners at number 1, Weapons at 2, and Bring Her Back at 3. And then the Moth Boys podcast, I'm not sure if it's Mike, Matt, or Jake, but they said Chain Reactions, which was the Texas Chainsaw
Mm.
documentary that came out, Presence, and Rabbit Trap. And I think that's all my answers. Yeah, that's all I got.
Oh yeah.
So shout out.
Nice.
I want to get that Chain Reactions documentary because it literally has like 8 or 9 different, like if you get the big Blu-ray bundle, it has like 8 or 9 different copies of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it has like a rip of a Turkish film print where it has like a red hue over it. Like they all like look different, like they look
Mm.
different and aged in different ways and stuff. So it's just kind of cool and stuff like that. I don't know if there's any different footage in any of them or any weird edits, but that'd be cool to kind of see too. But no, hell yeah.
As long as they don't fuck up Leatherface's intro.
Oh yeah. Right. That'd be the
Because
one
it's like
part
the
that
yeah, it's like the greatest scene in like all horror. Like if you
Yeah,
fuck that
seriously.
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, fuck Turkey. I ain't ever going there.
Yeah.
What's up, everyone? Tim just hopping in here because I forgot a few of the audience participations that I had gotten because they were in a different place than my other ones. So I just wanted to jump in and share those real quick before we wrap up. First up is my buddy Phil Vibes, who is one of our monthly co-hosts here on the show sometimes. He also did vocals for the band Irate, Knights of the Black, Judas Syndrome, stuff like that. His top 10 were Hard Eyes at number 10, The Conjuring Last Rites at number 9, Traumatica at 8, Good Boy at 7, Together at 6, Weapons at 5, Toxic Avenger at 4, The New Hell House LLC Lineage at 3, The Monkey at 2, and Screamboat at 1. But then he did message and say that he needed to revise his list because he just got back from seeing the new Silent Night Deadly Night. He said it was fun as fuck, and he was lucky enough to meet the co-star Rudy Modine after the movie, and she was awesome. So he didn't tell me which number it replaces, but shout out to Silent Night Deadly Night 2025. Also, my other 3 that I got were my buddy Jeff Tarkenton, who put on the artist block that me and Steven were at a few months ago, and he does some horror films of his own, like The Shadow Lawn Creeper, and he's got a new one coming up. His top 3 was Sinners, Frankenstein, and Weapons. And then my buddy Nuggy said that his top 3 was Weapons, Toxic Avenger, and VHS Halloween. And last but not least, my buddy Vic Cicilima said that his top 4 were Sinners, Weapons, The Monkey, and The Ugly Stepsister. So, hey, thank you to everybody for sharing your picks for 2025. Stoked to see what comes in 2026. And let's get back to wrapping up the show. Hell yeah, dudes. I appreciate y'all for joining me and hope you guys have a happy holidays and happy New Year, too.
Yeah.
Likewise. Wren, it was great chatting with you and meeting you. And
Yeah.
Thank you guys for also changing.
One day we'll do this not over the fucking interwebs. We'll see.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah.